Saraquoia
Hi
and
all.
Ciara is joining us. They're both well known for being involved in the political landscape for cannabis in Ohio. And today we are going to be focusing on legislation in Ohio, as well as hopefully we'll make sure that we cover more of Saraquoia's story and the Lemon G history since the last time she was on the show. Oop, gotta lower the volume.
Sure.
In the last show, we weren't able to give her enough time to do that because Bob Weir had just died, and we spent a lot of time in the show um, talking about Bobby, and so we really didn't get a chance to honor Sarakoya's story the way we would have liked to. Um, and then we're going to also address another topic, which is unfortunate. We're going to talk about snitching and snitching accusations. And yeah, and something else I want to get started with. So,
Mhm.
first of all, everybody, Notso Dog, welcome to the show.
Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hello.
We're just getting
Sarah,
started. Yeah.
before
Oh
we go,
man. Well then
Sierra,
I'm
can I
good.
ask you a question? Are
Huh?
you on your phone? I'm asking Sierra, buddy. Give me a
Oh,
sec. Sierra, are you talking to us on your phone or on a computer?
On my phone.
Okay. Are you able to disconnect and then reconnect and turn it sideways? Because we're all in landscape and you're in portrait.
Heard.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think you have to disconnect though to make it work. Like, okay, there we
There
go.
she goes. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna get started without, and of course we got the constant problem that Notso Dog is really close to the screen and we cut off half of his face.
He's
But
leaning in.
he's got a big head. If he can constantly tell me how old I am moving forward in the podcast, I'm gonna always tell him how big his head is. It does a bit of
Uh-oh.
pain. Whoa. I can't hear you. You're muted, brother.
if you get a baseball cap and it says one size fits most, that's the disclaimer. So for
Yeah.
people like me, I'm not in the most.
Mhm.
I'm not.
Yeah.
And we
But
got Sierra back, and
All
she's
right.
Hi.
escape mode. So thank you.
Mhm.
So I wanted to start the show by telling everybody that Reba, aka the Grateful Cultivator, is no longer able to be a regular host on the show. Um, she's just way too busy. She's studying to be a what is she studying to be, Sarah
Social
Koya?
worker.
A
Yes,
social worker. Yeah.
social worker. So, she's got
And she's
school and she's got
interning.
yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, she's just so busy
Hmm.
and it takes up so much of her life to do this podcast. It's so much of her bandwidth that she doesn't have. But we wanted to take this moment to honor Reba and thank her for helping get this show started and helping make it what it is today. She brought on some great guests. There's some more
Hmm.
people that she introduced us to that want to do the show. And so we have nothing but love and gratitude for Reba. We wish her the
Yeah.
best. And
Yeah. We're
so,
looking forward to the show with Star also, who should have been with us today but had a pet emergency. So, and
yeah,
Reba hooked us up with Star. We're really grateful for her, for all of her contributions and her outlooks that she shared with us while we had her here.
please everybody send love to Star's puppy who
Hmm.
what are those things called that dogs get in their ears and nose? The little
Oh man, I'm even
foxtails?
yeah,
foxtails. Yeah.
Yeah.
the dog got a I'm calling her a puppy. Could be a senior dog for all I know,
Huh.
but her dog got a foxtail up her nose and had to get sedated.
Oh
And
wow.
um, Star just wanted to make sure she was there to
Yeah, I
um
get that.
to take care of her dog. So um
Nice.
so I want to address and bring up a topic of snitching.
Hmm.
And I want to address this by saying there have been a number of snitching accusations and stories, throughout the years in cannabis. The one that I go back to that I think of first is Notso. Unmute yourself. What's the name of the guy that did all that sour work that was known?
Rez,
Right.
Mm.
So
Rez
like,
dog. Yeah.
that was like the earliest, like really not that he was the first snitch, right? But he was the first one that people were like really publicly talking about on a large, in a large, area. Would you agree with that, not so, or is there somebody before him that got that type
I
of
mean,
publicity?
well, he was the first person that got internet dragged for
Yeah.
doing so.
Mark
You know.
Emery.
Yeah. I mean, Mark.
I mean, he
You
might have
know.
made some bad choices, but he's still has pushed the ball forward a lot. I don't
I
know,
mean,
but
the hard part about, I don't know. I'll be quiet. You can say what you're going to
No,
say.
I asked what you're going to say.
Well,
that's the
I think there is I think there is a generational divide, right? Where if you're a certain age and you came up in herb when herb was completely illegal everywhere. There wasn't any medical, there
right
wasn't anything. It was just straight up, and in lots of
chances.
places, the penalties for fairly small amounts or what have you were severe.
Mhm.
I mean, I remember, I've told Gabby and I have talked about this, but I remember going to the Sam Boyd Silver Bowl to see the Grateful Dead.
Yeah,
I think it was
Vegas.
in
Yeah,
1993,
I was there.
and
Yeah,
they have billboards, like a roach or a seed will land you in prison.
yeah.
Like we have a like huge billboards going into
Mhm.
Vegas. We have a zero tolerance policy for. I mean, it sounds crazy, but uh, Gabby actually, when we were talking earlier, he mentioned that like we should start talking about him more. My childhood best friend Sean, who Gabby knew pretty well, um, his uncle actually got me into the Grateful Dead,
Huh.
and he got something like 34 years in prison in Oklahoma for driving with some
Wow,
Mexican to a Dead show. And now
man.
Oklahoma has like thousands of acres in cultivation.
Is
You
there a
know,
law against driving to a dead show with a Mexican?
in
No.
1994, it was bad.
In
And so
Chicago?
I think that in general, there's a generational divide because it used to be that, snitching was like how you got yourself out of trouble, right? Like they used
Oh
to do this
yeah, there was
thing.
a lot of pressure for that.
I mean, they used to do this standard thing where like if you got busted doing something and you got the cops 3 felonies from 3 different people, you could get off, anything you were on. And so they kind of used that to move up the chain. And so it used to be sort of like, you know, up there with the worst thing you could do to someone,
Yeah.
right? It was very serious accusation.
Hmm.
And, it's kind of like one of those things that, like, and you're talking in a group of friends, no one will ever admit to doing it. But then some people, when forced, would crack,
Yeah.
especially when faced with long sentences and
Under
stuff like
pressure.
that. Under
Hmm.
pressure, they got kids, they got
Yeah.
this, that, whatever. There's various things going, maybe their morals, or who knows. Cops would regularly apply pressure to try to get what they wanted out of people. And so
Yeah.
snitching, if you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s, um, was
Debate.
pretty serious.
Yeah.
Now there's a whole generation of people that grew up in Canada, that grew up with medical, that grew up with like maybe even rec, that grew up with the penalties being severely reduced, and reporting people's pages, getting social media taken down, doing all kinds of various stuff that would be like quote unquote considered
Mhm.
pretty low class back in the day, became pretty common. Like someone would comment on some kind of social media thing and someone would get mad and they would anonymously report them and get them taken down just because they were irritated. And so it's kind of become one of these things where, like, in very rare cases, sometimes a snitching accusation is warranted, and there's paperwork and documentation and all kinds of stuff where like serious harm happened to the person that was
Right.
snitched. And now it's used anonymously a lot, I feel like, in Canna world, because they grew up with like the penalties aren't as severe and it's just like doing something crappy to someone. They didn't grow up with the fear
Yeah.
of getting caught with just even like paraphernalia, right? Like in the car, you know what I mean? Or like a little bit of herb or something like that, or you become a felon for a small amount.
Right. Well,
And
it's
so I
like
think now
people
it's,
assume those risks. They need to be willing to assume the consequences of those risks, you know, and those are choices that all of the road dogs and all of the people of the keepers of the medicine took. Those
but
were risks we knew about.
that's a generational view, in my opinion,
Yeah.
where I think it's changed. And so now I feel like and then I'll shut up. There's lots of accusations of snitching that goes on that doesn't come with paperwork, that doesn't come with proof, that it's a lot murkier whether or not something happened. And it's basically used as sort of like a character assassination.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, you know, like it's fine to say, like, you can say something terrible about someone as long as it's true.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if they did it, well, then you're not like defamation, right? Is
Yeah.
you can't defame someone if it's true.
Right.
Right.
But a lot of times with snitching and with stuff that goes online, people lie about you, and then you're forced with like, do I want to give up my privacy, or do I want to try to prove to a bunch of strangers this untruth?
Right.
And I feel like, so it's gone from like something that was rare and only enacted occasionally if it was like actually happening, to like a tactic in the social media
Yeah.
anger wars,
Character sabotage.
for
Yeah.
lack of a better way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my general take on it. It's gone from something occasional and serious that needed like validation and proof that you did something,
Right.
you know,
Right.
to something flung around a lot, which makes the people that
Yeah. And
actually snitch happier, because it muddies the waters and who's doing it, because it gets thrown around too much. And then people that actually like worked with the police or got other people in trouble to get themselves out of trouble or something
right.
along those lines, which used to be the definition sort of snitching, gets like muddied, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right. And then there's
And
this like group mentality of like, you know, not even taking the time to see if these character assassinations have anything to back them up in the way of facts, or if it's just, you know, some online rumor mill and bullshit, you know,
well, the other thing
and
that's
that's a
hard,
problem too.
Saraquoia, and it's like
Yeah.
going to start happening to you guys in Ohio out there,
Mm-hmm.
is there was this new thing that used to happen, like when we were all in the shadows, for instance, it was like sort of an even keel. What happened to us in California and other places is, as soon as places got legal, some people felt, well, I'm paying taxes, I paid for my license, I paid for this, these black market illegal people are messing with my business and I'm trying to survive. It's not snitching.
Right.
They should follow the same rules that I'm following. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
snitching anymore if I'm calling out illegal stuff, because I'm playing by the rules. Which I think, I mean, this might just be generational for me or whatever, but I just think it's crazy. You know,
Yeah, I
like
mean, I think if you go to law enforcement for any reason against another person who's not harming anyone, that's fucked up. There's
Yep.
no reason for
okay,
that
so
ever.
so here's the thing though, right?
You know, because
Like,
that's greed. That's about greed. That's, you know, that's what I hear. You know.
Yeah.
but
I
Yeah.
agree.
that thing that happens, and because this has happened to me, it's like, what happens when you're in a legal business and you end up getting wage theft, or they end up breaking laws, like abusing you, taking, you know what I
Right.
mean, and like they're breaking labor
Yeah.
laws that are just standard
Yeah.
ones, and you don't
Mm.
say anything, like me, because you were just
Because
raised
you
in a
didn't want
different
to be
way.
called a snitch. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No,
But
I mean,
So
like,
can
I've had
I?
to think twice about even being like, this man punched me, right? Because of the reaction that people get to noise, you know? Like
I've never I've never
it's
been to
fucked
court
up.
unless I was forced.
Right.
But that means that sometimes people have been able to take advantage,
Yeah. No, I
you know,
get
because,
that, dude. I get
you know,
that.
and
Yeah.
it's like, and there's a lot of, because the money in legal cannabis is so funny sometimes, you know, there's a lot of law breaking,
Mhm.
you know, there's a lot of
Ciara
stuff.
wants to
So in
chime in.
in I was like, in the hood I'm from. um, Basically, like a snitch is someone that's a part of it, is a part of the empire that made the money too, and wants to take a lesser time in jail. And so they roll on the whole crew. That's what a snitch is. Okay.
Yes.
So people who know about the crimes that you're committing because you may be publicly posting them out on social media and showing bales of whatever and wads of cash and all of this other stuff that were to call the police and talk about what you're doing says to me that you're not a good criminal. So those people to me are not snitches. Those people to me are people that, want to stay inside the lines of the system, and, they may not like the smell of something. They may not like the loud boom, 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 boom of your trap music or whatever. I love rap. That's my favorite music. So I've been known to roll up places loud, smelling loud, being loud because I'm loud. Um, but the reality is that I'm not doing that with felonies in my trunk. You know what I mean? So if you're doing that with felonies in your trunk and someone were to call about that, then to me, you might need to realize that you're not a good criminal and that you shouldn't be doing things that people know about to call about you. So other than that, it's about keeping your circle tight. So that's where the snitch comes in. The snitch is a Judas. That's someone that sat at the table and ate with you. Okay. That's not someone that on your public forum committing crimes per se, that would make a comment about directing you to the current law. I mean, that's just the hood I grew up in. Someone that's outside of your circle can't really be a snitch. Someone that didn't profit off of the empire isn't a snitch. Someone that's getting lesser time than the rest of everyone else on a mandatory minimum, because I've been sucked into RICO charges and I've been a part of a lot of different situations that have me in a situation that, oh yeah, no, talk to my lawyer because I'm, smart. And so that's where you would take it is speak to my lawyer. You're going to pay a lawyer anyway. So what you talking to anyone for? You pay a lawyer and you let your lawyer figure that out, and if you can't pay a lawyer, then you ride your public defender like he's the last puppet in the show because you have intelligence, because the market and the movement that you're doing with your life, whether it be regulated or unregulated, you would use a brain. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have a Judas in the crew when you guys get busted because someone makes a slip up, screwing a little thing over here that he broke her heart, and then now someone's calling the cops. You know what I mean? Like, sucks. But at the end of the day, it's like a snitch is in the circle.
Choices. Mhm.
Okay.
A
Okay.
snitch isn't taking place on a public
That
forum.
I want to say a couple of things. The first thing is we all, first of all, this is like an emotional topic right now. We all have a lot we want to say, and like, let's use the hands up feature
Got
on,
it.
just because like I want us all to be, because I want to say some shit. God damn it!
we
So
haven't even heard from Gaby too
can
much.
you
Yeah.
believe it? We finally got like now we got like few people that talk more than me. So, so
Hey.
first thing I want to say is when Notso Dog was talking about like the legal businesses snitching on the trap businesses, okay?
Yeah.
The reason why, and the reason why it's ultra hypocritical is 99% of those guys are backdooring and trapping their shit too. They
Yeah.
just don't like the way these guys have had the like storefronts, right? So they rat on the storefronts while they're still backdooring everything. Okay. Now, my interpretation of snitching is bigger than Sierra's. I I hear what Sierra's saying, and that's like to me the strongest. But like even back in the day, like with your brother could snitch on your mom that you went out and went, where you weren't supposed to be or whatever. So there's that
Mhm.
snitching.
With
Then
the
we get
tattletale.
then we get the
Mhm.
and then and now that person's associated with you, right? But what about the people that have no association with you or really little association with you on like social media and they just report your posts because they don't like you or like they have a competing business, so their way to put you under is to report your posts and have your site put down.
But
That
on a criminal side or just like
it's
on a
on a criminal
reputation
side.
side?
Now, I see. That's why I consider
This is the new school snitch that that
Mm,
not the
Notso
dog
was
was saying,
talking
right?
about.
So,
Yeah.
so,
mm,
so snitching,
mm.
snitching can be more than going to law enforcement,
Sure,
right? You
sure.
know,
Yeah,
like,
it's like
you know,
reporting
but like,
something to an
My
authority
page
that's going
gets
to get a
reported so much,
reaction,
it's
that's
right?
right.
ridiculous.
Like
Reporting
you were saying
reporting
with
something
mom.
to an authority, like I said, if somebody
Yeah.
snitches on your Instagram page because they don't like you, okay, and it shuts down your Instagram page and it hurts you, they're snitches, you know?
Yeah.
And like, here's the way I feel about it, okay? There are people and companies that have wronged me, okay? You know, I'm not going to mention them by name, but I'll give an example, okay? There's a company that I used to work for, okay, that they ripped me off, owe me well over $10,000, you know, which to me at the time was, and it still is a big deal, but it was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
life-changing money, okay? And um, they advertise on Instagram. So they're a licensed farm that advertises on Instagram that they will sell to you direct. Okay? You know,
Yeah.
like they're they not only are trapping their shit, but they're advertising it with an Instagram ad. Instagram is constantly trolling me because I don't have them blocked, right? Because I want to, but so Instagram constantly puts their ad in front of my face nonstop, and like it tests me as a human being,
Mhm.
and I'm proud to say that I win because look, have I thought about reporting that page? Yeah, I did. I admit it. If it makes me bad for having the thought, that's like saying if you see a really pretty woman and you have a thought, that's bad. Like, you know, like if you, you know, it's like, no, like doing something is bad.
Self-control is a thing.
That's right. You know,
Life's about choices.
so like, did I think
Hmm.
about reporting his page? Absolutely. I thought about it because I'm like, this motherfucker, he owes me all this money. Here he is, licensed farm, doing this fucking blatant trap shit. Dude, I could not only have his Instagram page, but like, I could have him shut down. Okay.
Yeah.
And I hate this guy, but I'm not a rat, you know? And
Hmm.
it's like, for me, like, you know, and to just say one thing, like, I got busted for doing something stupid when I was 20 years old. Okay. And I was, and it was pretty serious. Okay. I got busted for fucking bringing weed from Jamaica, you know? And like, I could have faced,
I
Wow.
mean, shoot, I thought you beat a dog or something, dude. He
yeah,
said,
I mean,
this
like,
sounds serious.
I mean, like, the
Sorry.
problem is that when you get busted, it's fucking serious.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
they
that
get
would be a
busted, it's
while ago
like,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just
When it was
teasing.
still more serious.
it
Yeah.
was
I
in
mean, generally
1990.
speaking, customs isn't chill.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out of
Yeah.
country wide
Mhm.
shit like that is not good.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
so,
I
like,
mean, we like this
let me just
sounds
say this and
stupid,
I'll
but
let you go, not so. It'll be fast. Like, they tried to get me to fucking cooperate. And like this thing
Yeah.
I did was like a big thing involving a bunch of people that, you know, sent me on this fucking journey. And like 20-year-old living in New York at that time, dude, like you
Wow.
snitch, you just you need
Oh.
to fucking
Yeah.
you need to go into like witness protection program
Mhm.
because
Right.
you're
Mhm.
gonna get
Yeah.
fucking hurt. You know, even as
Hmm.
a
Mhm.
kid, I knew like you can't open up, you know, your mouth, and
No.
you know. So I do want to let Not So Dog say what he has to say, and then I want to direct the conversation a little bit so that we get on point.
I mean, it's just a quick
Mhm.
story. But I would say that like when I used to go to Amsterdam to bring back seeds, because when I first started growing, like Holland was the place you went
Hmm.
for the most part to get seeds, right? And on the
Hmm.
way back, right, we used to do this thing where it's like you would take out every single piece of clothing, everything out of your bag. Is there a leaf? Is there a tiny bit? Is
Hmm.
there a nugget? Is there anything? Is there whatever? Is my stash spot that I've got these seeds in good? Right?
Right.
And because it could be like I'm not I don't think this will be outing Gabby or whatever, but like
Go ahead. I just did.
okay, but when Gabby and I worked together at the Spout, at the garden store, Gabby would go on these these business trips for other hydroponic people and conferences. Sometimes it would be Europe, sometimes it would be Canada. Well, he'd gone back and forth to Canada. Well, one time he was going to Canada, and Gabby used to have this thing where he would like get out of the cab smoking. Like, so he would smoke up until the last possible minute that you could smoke before you walk into the airport. And so
Yeah.
he's on his way to Canada, and he probably smelled like herb.
Yeah.
And he had one of those freaking Velcro wallets. So they're
Yeah.
searching the
I
stuff, and
like
they open
those.
his Velcro wallet, and he had like
Yeah.
a little piece of sweet leaf stuck to the Velcro. And then that popped up what he just talked about, his smuggling thing. And they
Wow.
literally stuck him in a room, didn't let him into Canada, and turned his ass around and made him fly home the next morning.
Now,
Oh
here's
shit.
why I love
Wow.
Notso
Yeah,
Dog.
Canada's no joke. They'll be like, "You're
I
a vagrant. Get out of here."
I have to
Yeah.
say this. I was trying to like stop the storytelling and then like get to like what we really want to talk to,
The
but now
topic.
now
Mhm.
now I'm gonna have to say something for a few minutes. So
All
sorry,
right.
ladies.
Yeah.
Notso Dog is the best fucking storyteller on the internet, not just in cannabis. Okay.
Mm.
And it's
Mhm.
why I'm so grateful that he does this show and like I enjoy it so much. I know the, the people enjoy it, nobody enjoys it more than me. There's nothing that I like more than correcting Notso Dog.
Oh man.
Gives me like
Uh-oh.
added like, because, my memory is like fucking Swiss cheese, right? Like, I've
Yeah, he's
lost
got
so
a good
much.
memory, not so.
But Swiss cheese still has fucking cheese in there. There's holes.
Yeah.
So Nacho
What did I
Dog,
get wrong?
Nacho Dog got this story completely. Well, one part he got right was that I went to the airport smelling like weed, right? So like that part, yeah, come on. You don't smoke before you get on the plane. You're about to fucking get on this crazy journey. You're not gonna fucking go on high, right? But
You gotta get some Febreze.
I was going to a hydro show, okay, and they were actually harassing everybody going to the show. So like people were showing up from all around the world going to this show, and if you looked the part, or they were like looking in bags, they looked in my bags and they saw I had literature, like my trade show shit. And I was saying that I was like going on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't tell them I was there on business, and then they open it up and they fucking see these like, I had my catalogs for my products and
Right.
stuff like that. But like everybody was getting fucked with. So it wasn't that I reeked of weed, right? Then it wasn't my wallet. I don't want to nitpick. It was my pocket. And the thing is, it wasn't sweet leaf.
Oh.
It was lint. It
Lint?
was lint. So what happened?
Hmm.
Okay,
You were
I
framed over lint.
Yeah.
no, I
You were
was
framed.
I was targeted. They knew I had, and honestly, check it out, bro. Another part of the story that you got wrong. They didn't know I had a record. Actually, it might not have even mattered to them. They were
Didn't they
like,
turn you around though?
right,
They
but so
didn't
what
let you into the country. Because I
they,
remember you
that
bitching. They
you got
stuck you
right.
in this room, and
Yeah.
and you said the seats weren't designed to lay down, and they had all these like weird curves and these elbow things, and you just had to sit in there till the next morning, the next
Yeah.
flight out.
So, but what they did was, I'm gonna see if I can do this on camera. They take my pocket out, right? Like this. I don't know if you guys can see, there's a little lint in here. It's not fucking weed, it's lint. And they take a brush onto like a piece of paper and they go like this. I don't know if you guys can see that. They go like this. Okay. Put the lint into like a little baggie and they say, "You're under arrest for trying to smuggle weed into Canada, trying to smuggle
Wow.
cannabis into Canada." And I said, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, you're under arrest for smuggling weed into Canada." And I'm like, first of all, that's not weed. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm like, that's lint.
Wow.
And they took that shit away. They put me in a room for a while, okay? And they came back like an hour or two later, and they said, you're not invited to come into Canada. We're sending you home on the next flight. Now, the
Right.
next flight
Wow.
was the next morning. Okay. So, like, this was like, 8, 9 o'clock. The next flight was the next morning. Okay. And I was like locked in a room, like Francis said, like with the chairs that there was like no way to lay down anywhere. It was just like, so yeah. And then they fucking sent me home. But it was lint, not so. What I wanted to correct you at was it wasn't sweet leaf.
Sounds like lawyers speak to me.
It wasn't.
Their lawyers like, it's
But it's
lit.
not.
You
We
don't
correct you the
ever, it's
story with
lit.
time.
The what is it called, like when it's too late to prosecute you because too much time has passed.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
statute of
Lit.
limitations is gone. Okay, that shit was not weed. It was just fucking lint.
It's like
You know,
every dude in
they
prison
were
was like, I
throwing
was framed.
everybody out. Everybody that tried to go to that show got turned away. It was in BC. So everybody,
Mhm.
it was like, yeah. So
Anyway,
that's
so
that
but
story.
that brings up one important point, which is that sometimes people can say stuff incorrect about you, right?
Right.
Like we were talking about with snitching or something.
Oh, but
And your
go
choice
ahead.
is
You got this
Especially when
story.
they
and your
have an
choice
agenda.
your choice is either
Yeah.
to be silent or to
Hmm.
tell a bunch of truthful personal information to
Right.
try to clarify the record,
Right.
right? And then like if you're dealing with someone in bad faith, which has happened to me a few times, it's like
Hmm.
no one's ever going to say, "Oh shucks, you got me," because
Yeah.
their intention is to like hurt you or smear
Mhm.
your
Right.
reputation or something like that. They're not going to be like,
Right.
"Oh well." I've never seen on any kind of internet or like social media herb dispute someone be like, "Oh man, you got me. I'm sorry, I was mistaken." You know what I mean? Like we're
Right.
cool, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
because when they put out slanderous rumor mills in the first place, their agenda is to damage reputation. And they're usually the kind of egotistical loudmouths that most certainly don't want to be wrong or take anything back. That's been my experience.
So let me get us on track. Okay. Um,
Hmm.
Nobody in the room approves of snitching. Okay. And while our definitions might be a little bit different, like mine was broader than what
Hmm.
Ciara's was, um, none of us are for that shit.
Mm.
And, you know, we're going to talk
Right.
about some accusations that were made against Saraquoia, and we're going to show
At
you some.
my company,
Yeah.
my real legitimate company.
But before we get into those details, Saraquoia said something earlier about how, like, she got punched in the stomach at,
Hmm.
um, like, some type of show.
Community Arts and Music Fest, ComFest in Columbus.
Yeah, by some, like,
Hmm.
some drunk dude.
Yeah.
And
Old normal member.
I asked her if she called the cops. And she said no. And I said, why? And she said, because I don't want to snitch. And
Right.
so what I want to say, and this might be the most important thing that I say on the show, and like we really and we broadly we talked about it a little bit, and I think we should clarify like what snitching is, okay? And there's been this thing that you hear about forever, like, that I've heard about forever, that when women are assaulted by men, most of the time they don't say anything,
Yeah.
okay? And they're scared to, and, they don't want to call law enforcement, and They don't want to be snitching.
Fear of retaliation,
Yeah.
sometimes with violent people.
Yeah. And
It's a
so,
real thing for women, especially, I think.
yeah, so just like when I said, for me, if somebody assaults you, okay, so I use the extreme term. Okay, so if a woman gets raped and she talks to police, she's a snitch.
No.
Okay.
No.
And so if a woman or a man gets punched in the stomach, like for
Well,
no reason by some drunk fool, and they
so
call the police,
clarify it for
they're
a
a
second.
snitch.
Snitching to me, the core definition would be I am telling the authorities something about someone else to
For your
lessen or get
benefit.
myself out of trouble.
Right. For your
No, but
Right?
benefit.
it's more than that,
Now,
right?
now
It's more than
what
that.
you were just saying
Mhm.
about Saraquoia or whatever, what that's translated into for like people of our generation has been I don't talk to the cops about anything because they're never on my side. They're just a danger to me, and I don't use them
Mhm.
for anything. I never want to talk to them.
Mhm.
I don't want to get pulled over. I don't want to talk to them at a traffic stop. I don't want to report someone doing criminality to me. But snitching is trying to lessen or get out of trouble you're in
Mm-hmm.
by telling about other people's business.
Or trying to inflict harm on
Right.
Yes.
them,
You don't like
And
them.
the
Yes.
only way they can do that is if they're inside your circle or you're a bad criminal. And so at the end of the game, when we're doing criminal things, we're doing it for capitalism. So all's fair in love and war, Like I don't I'm not really on the side of like connecting like rape to dope boy money. You know what I mean? Like I think
Yeah,
there's
that's
like a
total
sacred
difference.
gap that
Yeah.
we've clearly like
But that's why,
uh
but the thing
uh
is, no,
have
but
That's what
in
we're
this
Sierra,
saying though.
but
conversation,
Yeah.
Sierra,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
was
yeah,
that's what we're
yeah.
saying.
wait,
Like that's a
I'm gonna
crime
leave
that needs
that.
reported. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
That,
mean,
that's what I was
absolutely.
saying, like,
Like, I think
Sierra,
that women and men, like, if there's violence upon you, it should be reported. I don't have faith in the police system. Like, I don't have faith in restraining orders. Do they need done for paperwork? Because that's what the system asks for us, so that when tragedy does take place, it's like, oh, I filled out all of the paperwork I was supposed to, you
Yeah.
know. So with that, it's like, directing people on a public forum about what the laws are to just be very direct instead of being like around the bush about it, is not snitching. Like
Right.
what the dynamic that happened and like why we're even talking about snitching is that, we're mixing these two genres, like Notso Dog said, like, we're having this like public forum that people are speaking on, and then now we're trying to use old school like logic, biker hood logic here, and it doesn't work. You know what I mean? That's institutionalized thinking in like a modern perspective. Like the reality is that here in Ohio, what was going on is illegal, and guiding someone to that law in that space of that conversation is not a snitch. And so we could sit here all day long and define what a snitch is, but the reality is that they've converted with each other in a moment that there's like reputation damage, as well as we have a lot of people in any time in cannabis laws, they're all entrapments,
and
so
Sierra,
we have to
Sierra,
educate people about that.
Sierra,
Yeah.
we need to go back a minute
Yeah.
because people have no context.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's just
So
throw it out
Mhm.
there.
let me give them the context, which was
Yeah.
what I was trying to do. And
Okay.
one thing, what I want to say here is what everyone just saw is, and I don't think that they're going to be upset about me saying this, is Sierra, passionately defending her friend for what she knows is right, and not so dog. So not so dog had no idea of the situation. Currently, the world doesn't know. I'm taking a minute to
Yeah.
be patient with me. And
Pardon.
yesterday, I was like, look, Saraquoia is being accused of snitching, and it's bullshit. And we're gonna do a show and address it because it's like two ways the snitching things go. Somebody gets accused of snitching, and people say, I'm not going to give it any oxygen. I'm not going to talk about it. It doesn't matter if it's true. You know, it's like, I'm just not going to give it oxygen, right? The other way to be is like, no, that's fucking bullshit. I'm right here. You show me
Yep.
how I'm a snitch, okay? Because now you're talking shit about me, and we're not
I've
going
been
to.
here a long time.
Okay? But one thing I wanted to
Mhm.
say, okay, is how much I appreciate Notso Dog coming here today too, supporting Saraquoia, because, you know, like when people are accused of being a snitch, all of a sudden it's like, ooh, I want to stay away from this person because now like it could make some stink on me, you know?
Well,
And
and there's trust by association, you know?
that's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know? But like, you know, so I said to Notso Dog yesterday, I'm like, look, Sarakoya is being accused of snitching, and it's bullshit. And I'm going to show
Mhm.
you how. I said, we're going to do a show. And if you want to do the show, you know, like you can do it. But I said, I want you to think about it because, you know, it's a fucking topic that, you know, and he immediately was like, no. He's like, first of all, he believed me before I even, I was like, look, let me just show you.
It's really easy when you
Yeah,
see it and you're
it,
not like,
it is.
I'm in a herd frenzy
So anyway, I
mentality.
just want to say
Yeah.
I appreciate Notso Dog for having
Me
Sarah
too.
Koya's back, and I have
Hmm.
Sarah Koya's back, and Sierra's has her back because, like, first of all, we love her, and it's right because I'll say something. If I loved somebody and they did something wrong,
Mhm.
like if Sarah Koya was actually snitching, we wouldn't be having this conversation. She wouldn't be doing the show with us anymore.
Right.
Like that's
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Like that's just end of discussion.
That should
That's
be
how you,
anybody, you know, like,
that's right.
Mhm.
That's right. That's it. You know? But
hmm
like because we know this is fucking bullshit, that's why I said to Sarah Koya, well, I think the best thing to do is just address it right away.
bring it to the
Okay.
light. Yeah,
And
because lies don't hide in the light.
Mhm.
They
I mean,
need
it's hard though.
darkness.
Like I mean, dude, this is like semi off topic, but it's kind of related. My wife used to read these like she used to be into fashion, so she used to read these like
Mhm.
celebrity mags, like seeing what the women were wearing because they always used to get it before the public could. And I
Mhm.
saw this dude one time. I read this thing where like they were like, you never address any of the lies said about you. And he was like,
Yeah.
well, I have a choice, right? I can let people I don't know believe a lie,
Right.
Mhm.
or I can give up a bunch of my privacy and tell a bunch of truth to strangers to try to
Right.
prove to strangers that
Right.
this thing is a lie. And then,
Mhm.
because of who I am and how famous I am or whatever, people are still going to be writing bullshit about me to sell magazines the
hmm
following week and the following month anyway. So then I'll be in this endless stream of defending myself. And
Right.
then I'm always defending myself, you know? And
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
it can be tough because, you know, it's like as you become a public figure, you know,
I am a
smearing
public
people.
figure.
Yeah,
Hmm.
when you start to become a public figure, smearing people, sadly becomes like part of it.
Yeah.
Accusations become part of it. Weird stuff
Sure.
becomes part of it. And we have in our little subculture that we're all gathered here today about, because we were totally illegal, and then it goes to quasi legal, and then there's some medical involved, and there's generational stuff involved. There's a lot of
Mhm.
norms that, like, you know, older people believe that the younger people didn't grow up in. You know,
hmm
like Gabby, certain like we grew up in fear.
Fuck
hey,
yeah,
not
dude.
so.
Real
You know,
fear
like
of
Very
real
good.
fucking
I
problems.
still look
Yeah.
outside for
Let's
no
just do it.
reason. I don't have
Uh,
any reason to, but if I hear a helicopter, I am visually following its flight path. Like it's
so,
like Pavlov's dogs or
Shit.
something with the ringing bell and the salivation, like because
hmm
that was a
Hey,
serious
not so.
problem for
I love you, buddy.
decades,
I
you
love you,
know?
buddy. Let's just get to it because now the chat's getting impatient.
All
So,
right, fine.
cool.
so
Do you want me to go address it?
I think
Or
you should address it. Yeah.
yeah. All right. So our business closed down our retail location where we were having small home grow expos and events. And we were doing so under the loopholes that issue 2 provided, with consultations and our ability to share our home grow in public without consequence, and under the protection of the Athens Cannabis Ordinance, which protects misdemeanor cannabis offenses in the city of Athens. It's one of 3 laws that I've changed in my county. It's one of 2 laws that I've changed in my city. So when you are a public figure like me and you work to change laws, you also have to figure out how to navigate within the parameter of those laws. So with the passage of Senate Bill 56, sharing in public, there's a lot of things, having weed in your car, not in your trunk. There's numerous changes to the law. So on Saturday, today's Wednesday, Saturday morning, the new occupants of our shop posted a post about their edible business, which is not a licensed, legitimate business, but is like a, mom and pop edible, whatever, and they checked in at Cool Digs. So they used my company's name, that I have a reputation in town and I don't want to have affiliated with things that are potential felonies. And they tagged us in their post, right? So I saw it and I made 2 comments. The first comment was, we're not affiliated with them. The second comment was, they're not in compliance with Senate Bill 56 or the Athens Cannabis Ordinance, which I tagged. And I did that, and it geotagged City of Athens. And when I did that,
But when you say geotag, for people that don't know, geotagging the city of Athens means you're saying
that's where we are.
I am in the city of Athens. And
Right.
also, who did you say that it was linked to? You said to Taco?
Yeah, so TACO
Tell
is the
people that
anachronism for the Athens Cannabis Ordinance. It's an ordinance, okay?
But the
So it
link,
was passed by the people in 2017, and it says, like many of the other sensible ordinances that were passed around Ohio, including the one that I helped pass in Nelsonville, the one that we passed in Logan, it says if you commit a cannabis crime, right, which now we have new crimes because of our Senate Bill 56, and you're within our municipality, which is that geotag, then you will get no fines, no court costs when you go to court. So Athens Cannabis Ordinance protects you from misdemeanor cannabis offenses. It does not protect you from any offense that is felonious. There are numerous felonious offenses related to Senate Bill 56. So out of a want to inform our community, and especially our vendors who could be caught up in, numerous problems by being loud and proud in a world where they're not within compliance of the law, I felt it was necessary for me to make that statement.
so can I
Now,
interrupt
what
you
I
and
want
ask,
people to understand is that I
listen.
didn't do anything to instigate any of this. We're minding our own business. We're in compliance with the law. These guys who are not chose to tag my business. And then they want to play victim that I snitched by putting a link to the ordinance and defining what I know about the law.
But can I say something real fast?
Sure.
Okay, the link you sent me that was posted, it wasn't to an ordinance. It was to your Facebook page and your
Right.
Instagram page because like what you're saying is confusing.
Oh,
It sounds like
so
let me just say this and then you can tell me if it's correct, okay?
okay.
I think it's important that we get this right.
Okay.
That you tagged not the city ordinance. You tagged your Facebook group that you moderate because you are an advocate of cannabis in
Right.
Ohio And so like they're like, well, she's tagging the city.
No.
She's like putting a link to City Hall or something here. And what she did was she said, number one, and I'm gonna put it in simpler terms. She said, don't put my name on your public trap business.
Right.
Okay? Like you're putting my name on your trap business. You're endangering me for what? I
Right.
don't have
The
anything.
day after the law
Yeah, I
changed.
don't have anything to do with this.
Right.
Okay. And then because Saraquoia feels that she has a responsibility to the people that she's been advising, that when they
Hmm.
see her name on that, they think it's a safe place to go. She says, hey, look, check out my link where I tell you that the law changed this week.
Right.
If you go over there, you could be in trouble.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But
When I tagged Taco, it was because that is our activist page. And that's where I post information about
I
how
want
the
to
law
show
is
that.
changing and all of the current news stories about cannabis in Ohio. So I tagged that and I expected people to click on it and go there. And any of them that did could clearly see that that takes you to the Athens Cannabis Ordinance Facebook page, which is correct, Gaby. I was making the assumption that people knew that it was a Facebook page because it's the link there.
Are you
So,
able to? I'm trying to figure out how I can copy the link because, and I'm gonna show these photos and stuff. That
mhm.
should be the first photo that I show, the one where you
Where
uh
they tagged me in their post.
well, yeah, the one
Yeah,
where
because there was a series of events, right? They tagged me in their post. I responded. The next thing I know, they're posting a screenshot of their original post where they have edited out the part where I said we're not affiliated with them and left in the part about the ordinance, which suits their narrative that I must be snitching, and then throw it out there that the previous owners are snitching and making threatening comments like, well, they better watch out. So that is where lines are getting crossed here. But anybody that even looks at their screenshot can see that the company, and it says checked in at Cool Digs. They went on to do other ridiculous things to try to ruin my reputation or drag my name in the mud, like posting an unemployment letter from a employee of ours who was fired for selling drugs out of the back of our shop, and then filed for unemployment insurance and expected me to lie for him. And also, I did not rat him out to the cops. I merely fired his ass. But they posted that letter from unemployment as another example of Cool Digs being snitches. But dude, we ran the grow shop in this town for 13 years. We are not snitches. We're very trusted. And that's why I can't have my name affiliated with things that are outside of the scope of our law. So, like, I have every respect for all of the road warriors and all of the people that took risks. And I understand those risks because I took those risks. And I'm not here today because I stepped on the heads of others and dragged them through the mud. I'm here today because I'm honorable. I keep my word, and I hold up every creed of every society with any kind of integrity. I'm not going to involve people in a bunch of stupid shit that's not legal in the public spotlight. Like Ciara said, that's being a bad criminal.
but it's like you're muted, Sierra, but I'm gonna say this anyway. Okay? It's not
Yeah.
like you give a fuck what other people do.
I don't.
Like it's not like somebody is like advertising their trap business on Instagram and you're reporting him. You know,
Right.
like what it is like you just don't want people using your name on their trap shit, and
No.
you don't want people to think that you are telling them that this is safe.
Right.
like
And
you
I would
told me
want them to
at
know that it's
Buster on
not.
that very first day, like there was,
Hmm.
a number of busts, and you know, so it's like
All of the
they
legitimate
used your
businesses
name.
have shut down. They've shut down,
They
right?
used your name for profit.
They
They were,
tried.
they
Well,
were
yeah,
trying to
because
like,
scandal sells,
Hmm.
you
well,
know.
no,
Yeah,
no, I'm
they
talking about
tagged
before
me
the scandal.
intentionally
Before the
to
scandal.
get my audience.
That's
Mhm.
They
right.
tagged me to use our audience, right? So then I have an obligation to let our audience know that that shit's not right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
And maybe one thing I should say, just because
Hmm.
living in Mendo, I've sort of been like, for better or for worse, like at the forefront of like medical and like these advancements and stuff like that.
Hmm.
A lot of times people think that like when new stuff gets passed or things change,
Mhm.
that like these are like ironclad rules, and now law
Mhm.
Hmm.
enforcement is just going to be like forced to do this thing and abide by this thing or what have you.
Mhm.
A lot of them have been doing stuff like, especially in Ohio where it's just recently changing. A lot of times they've been doing things a certain way their whole career,
Mhm.
and a lot of them might not like or even appreciate some of these changes that are coming along,
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know. And so,
right.
it made me think when you were talking about this kind of stuff, one of the things we face, it's like almost like Ghostbusters, like don't cross the streams, right? Where there's like
Yeah.
now like there's like a fully legal stream, and then there might be like a
Mhm.
medical quasi legal stream, and then there might be like, as the kids say, like a trap stream.
Hmm.
And just so everyone knows, I think all those streams are legitimate, like I
So does
completely do.
ATC.
Medicine to the people. Yeah.
I do, because you start off in the one stream and you end up in the other and you end up in the final one or what have you. But I don't think like there's a divide coming where it's like not everyone thinks all the streams are legitimate, and not everyone thinks that the
Right.
streams need to stay separate. And it
Right.
sounds
Mhm.
to me like all Saraquoia was saying was to just keep the stream separate.
Yeah, well,
This is
and
legal
know what the
stream.
law is, dude.
And
Like our new law comes with 3 days mandatory jail time for a first offense of smoking in your car.
Mhm.
Hello,
no, I
Ohio.
mean, so like,
Yeah.
You
but
know,
Not
the
like,
driving,
reason,
not driving intoxicated.
the,
Like
the
yeah,
reason
no,
why,
smoking
and
in the car. Yeah,
the
no
I
proof of
mean,
Mhm.
intoxicating.
dude,
Yeah.
I've told this story before, but like the reason that people have to be careful is because even though laws get passed, right,
Hmm.
cops have the power to arrest you, and then they can be like, you can figure it out in court,
Mhm.
Yeah,
right?
sometimes they
They
do.
have they have the power
Right.
to just say, I don't want to deal with that right now. I don't believe in that. I don't care about that new thing. I'm interpreting it this way,
Yeah.
and you can figure it out later on down the road.
Yeah.
Maybe the judge will listen, maybe the judge won't, And so in a place like in a place like Ohio, where all this stuff is
Right.
fairly fresh, you would agree, like and
Well,
and
yeah, I
things are
mean, yeah,
fairly
but I mean,
fresh and
it's
things
been
are changing.
coming. These guys knew that this was coming.
Mhm.
Like we
Mhm.
had farmers
Mhm.
markets since legalization. And then the guy who's been throwing them, Johnny Cannabis, OhioCannabis.com out of Cleveland, he billed the one that we had in March as the final farmers market,
Mhm.
right? You know why? Because he doesn't want to face racketeering and conspiracy and tax evasion and all the other charges that are going to come along with
Yeah.
trying to compete in a public forum with people who have the law on their side,
Mhm.
and I can't be involved in that, right?
Mhm.
Neither, no smart person is, right?
Mhm.
People gave away tens of thousands of dollars of their inventory last Thursday night. This place in Dayton that was selling THCA and all the hemp products at
Oh yeah, I'm
11:30
on
at
that app.
night in the final hour before the law changed, they put out on their social media, "Come on in, we're giving it all away."
Mhm.
And they gave it all away because
well,
they're not trying to go to jail or
you know
have all
what?
these problems.
You know what? I don't know that I fully agree with what you said. Like,
What do
I
you mean?
agree. I agree with that. Like, that company made the decision not to do it, just as you are. And like I
Mhm.
said, it's not right for people to use your name and your company name to advertise their business at any
Right.
time, even if it was legal. right? Even if it
Yeah,
wasn't
for
that, it's like,
sure.
hey, why are you using my name? Why are you
Right.
trying to get my people to go to you, right?
Right.
But
Mm,
fuck, I lost track. This damn
that's
fuck.
cool. It's a different avenue you
No,
come through, but I mean, saying it's a good perspective of that. Like, and I think like,
The-
you know, that again, like this is business. This is what we're talking about, right? And
Yeah.
business is business. And this is on a public forum. And, you know, ain't no stuff unless you start stuff, right? And then they start stuff. And then you're directed to education.
Hmm. Yeah. The cannabis
So
ordinance
again,
page is education.
where does the snitch come involved? You know what I mean? Like, where does that even
you know what
come
I think?
up?
I
That
don't
comes
think they
up.
ever clicked the link.
it's,
And like
it's,
actually somebody told me, because look, here's what happened. Saraquoia sends me a message with this stuff, and I'm like, what's this? And she explains who the person is and and it's like, I don't give this any credibility at all. I like 0%. And like I just was like sorry and just, you know, and then, you know, people thought that that link was actually going to like some type of like city hall, or maybe those guys
Right.
didn't want to click on the link because they were scared of where it would take you, right? But when you click on the link, it takes you to Saracoya's news page,
Yeah.
like, we
Well,
actually
and
had a friend of
see,
ours that was like, what the fuck, like, and it's like, hey, click
my,
on the
my,
link. This
when
is
they
not
reposted it
going.
and they put up, it was all about a narrative. It was their narrative to be bitches because they removed my other comment, which said we're not affiliated with them, right? Which was the first comment that I made. And instead, they screenshotted it and they left just the comment about the law, right? Because then they can create this frenzy where they control the narrative of, oh, she's talking about the law. Oh, snitch, law. Ah, get your shits together because we have laws, right?
well,
Like it's
one
time to do that, kids. Because like if you're
one
not
lesson
in compliance with the law, you probably shouldn't be posting all your shit on Facebook in the first
mm,
place.
from that is when you start arguing with someone on their social media page,
Yeah.
it's not like it's on the permanent record. Many times when you start battling with someone on their social media page, if you make a good point or something is sitting there that they don't like because it
Right.
counteracts what they're trying to do, they'll just delete
They
it.
deleted it. Yeah. Because
And
that
so
mm,
post is not
it's not even
available,
like a,
not
and so
so.
that's part of why, because it
Right.
doesn't fit the narrative,
Right.
and
mhm,
Exactly.
that's what makes it such a, basically what we're in right now is, to make it very like not complicated,
Kindergarten.
is
Sorry.
we're in this transitionary period from shadows and darkness into a more well lit room. And
Yeah.
that transition is weird because there's
mm,
local laws, city laws, ordinances, state laws, federal laws, right?
Hmm.
There's what people believe. Like, I mean, I wouldn't want to have a cop who's been on the force for 29 years. And for 26 years of them, it was illegal as hell. And you're trying to argue with them that said ordinance that passed 48 hours ago gives you the right.
Right.
Like, they might just arrest you and be like, oh, fuck it, you figure it out, you know?
Right.
And so
Yeah. It's
this
still
this
going to
time
cost you money and problems.
and time,
Hmm.
and it doesn't cost
Hmm.
them anything. And so it's a weird time because you have the culture that, it, like I said, like if you were raised, there's a lot of people that are younger that never feared the penalties. And so they did
Right.
things that we would consider kind of nuts because they weren't concerned about the penalties, or like they weren't concerned about the cultural thing, or so there's a clash there. And so if you are going to be a very public person, which you obviously are, and you're advocating strongly for Ohio medical and recreational and all these
Yeah.
different things, then people have to realize to some degree that you become a little bit of a target because not everyone agrees with you in what you're
Right.
pushing. And they
Right.
would
mhm,
love to attack you, discredit you, potentially
Oh, yeah.
arrest you, what have
Dude,
you,
I
you
was
know?
called Big Pharma when we were fighting the 2015 monopoly. Like Big Pharma was
mhm.
targeting me and Attorney Wirt Shafter as Big Pharma, So a lot of
Yeah,
times when
and they're
people
and
are
it's
calling you
brutal out there.
names,
Yeah,
it's them
everyone's
underneath,
fighting for their interests and using
hmm
what they can. And it's so there's a cultural change, there's all the, and it's not like it's not like alcohol prohibition where like all of a sudden it was just federally, it's like a patchwork quilt. Every state's like a patchwork quilt. This
right,
city, like you talk about, you have an ordinance in Athens. Well, does that
right.
apply to the county that you're in? What about the
No,
state of
it's only the
Ohio?
municipality.
Where does the
Uh,
municipality's line end? Can you be
right,
on this block and be
right.
fine doing what you're doing, but 4 blocks over, now you're not in
Now you have
compliance?
crime.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And
So,
not everyone's
we
going to be an
tried for
expert.
3 years to charter our county so that we could pass countywide laws like taco. And I sued the state for 7 years for not letting us charter our county because they said that our alternative form of government was illegitimate when the Constitution says that we have the right to have alternative forms of government. And they just didn't really like the one that we had proposed. But like, I'm all about change. And I know that change, like the real change that's going to stick, comes from navigating the law and changing the law to what you want the law to be, right? And that requires not getting busted for stupid trap shit, because otherwise I won't be out here trying to fix laws, you know?
I
Hey,
mean,
wait, hold on, not so. One thing that I'd really like is right now if I could get Ciara to introduce Saraquoia properly, because she can like give a little bit more background even than I can on like who this woman is and what she's done for cannabis in Ohio. And then I'd like to ask Saraquoia to honor Ciara the same way so that we could get to know them, to get to know their story and weed a little bit more, because that's what we're supposed to do on the podcast, right? Q,
Yeah.
make
Yeah,
sure that
that's it.
like that we honor the guests and
hmm
make sure that they tell their story and that we don't just go on side tangents. So
hmm
could I get Ciara to please introduce Saraquoia and tell everybody a little bit more about what's so special about this woman? I put you on the spot. I hope
Awesome.
you
You did totally, man. Like
I
I
know.
went from
See,
like
the thing is, I know how you feel about her, and I see that you were trying to defend her before, and I love that so much. I just think a lot of people didn't know. They're like, "Holy shit, what's going on?"
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Sierra's defending Sarah Coy, and now like we know what's going on. So now
hmm
let's just go back a little bit and tell everybody about what Sarah Koya does for her community.
Oh, absolutely. Like this is like very easy for me. So of course, like we met in cannabis policy advocating and kind of on a line of like, someone wanting to do it in business and her and I were just like instant sisters, like we did multiple lives. So we just kind of hit it off and she was talking to me about different like citizens initiatives and inalienable rights and just like really educated me like super quickly because her building blocks, like if you get it, like she's not gonna like fluff around for you, it's gonna be like boom, this is what it is, this is how we do it, this is this, and it makes sense. So immediately we were able to be very good together as far as like using our brains as capital for movement and the qualities that she wants in her micro community like Athens, which is one of the most protected places in the country, is it not?
It doesn't suck here. It's not
Well, I
awful.
know, but as far as for cannabis, no one
Yeah.
else in the country has the inalienable connection, and all crimes have to be done in the Athens city courts in order for a cannabis crime to come up. I don't know anywhere else that has that type of freedom.
I think what's different here is that our law director allowed us to interpret our cannabis ordinance, and that's very rare. Usually
Yeah,
they're like, oh, I want to pick this apart and make it suck, but
yeah.
like, that's where we're at right now,
So it's kind of like not only has it been like a sort of sacred protected space, like maybe like Yellow Springs in Ohio, or Santa Cruz in California, or Taos in New Mexico, or something that had this sacred space of protection for cannabis allies and the people in community, this actually
Yeah.
has
Yeah. It's
legal
never been a big
protection,
deal here.
you
Yeah.
know? So,
Hmm.
and Q, as I call her,
Many
because
do.
I go by
Yeah.
C. So basically, she's a badass. Like she's, working on, legitimate like businesses. She hires people that she puts to work full time. She, is working on education and legislation and showing up to the state house every single time. And, you know, raising a child and running a business and, taking care of a property that's like in the woods and in the mountain, So, these are like huge, huge feats, all while like feeding, elderly village members, like, in do I say the organization
Yeah, you can say it if you
up the
want to.
road?
I mean,
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
positively or negatively.
just
You can give good organizations good
I'm like
cred.
from the hood I'm from, we don't drop names, okay? No, I'm kidding. But okay,
As long
so
as it's positive. So Not So Dog
that
has
being
this
said,
rule.
like,
We try to not talk shit about people.
yeah, for sure.
We're not mentioning the people's names that are saying all this fucked up shit. Okay?
yeah,
Right.
so
Wait,
the
you know what we
organization
do
that,
focus on? I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you. We
okay,
do this all the time on the show. I hope you'll tolerate it.
no, I tolerate it, yeah.
This is important. Okay? Part of the reason why we're doing this show today is because Saraquoia legitimately feels unsafe. And I was talking to her yesterday, and I could hear her like she was almost crying. And like these people made threats, and like whether they're like weirdly worded or what, it's just like that's fucked up. Not just threats of like, oh, I'm gonna tell people you're a snitch.
Hmm.
No, like
Like
better watch out,
yeah,
coming from
like
unsavory people,
yeah, like
Yeah.
people that have a history of violence. Like
That
Yeah.
also, like, so to kind of
violence.
just go back to
So
like Q, like even this person that is so upset about everything is, was cared for and loved and fed and, given
Yeah.
like education and guidance and like, little sort of like hacks on like, what are the, gold picking hardware stores or the bar or whatever of the green rush. And we're given, free spots. I mean, to stay. I know personally that went down. So much love and like so much like just rooting for this person and just like, and for his brand and for his life and, for me to watch my friend who's a beautiful soul, and who's fair, she has fair
Fair is fair.
logic,
Hmm.
and kind of be like retaliated by all of these men that would, one, as wow, women of weed, I think, and we talked about it, it's like, this just undercurrent of violence just all around, that we would have a village and a man in the village would put hands on a woman in the village, and the men wouldn't come to that man and say, whoa,
Won't
what?
address it. Yeah.
Us as a collective, as the co-ed collective doesn't come together, like back in the old days and be like, let's have a little love circle. Like, what the hell's going on, bro? One, do you need help with maybe whatever you got going on that you would harm a member of our community? And then two, are you okay? I mean, oh my God, that should be number one. Like, oh wow, victim, are you okay? I mean, that's how
Hmm.
that's how that should have went down. And instead, there was just immense amount of predator preying vibes, uh, uh, and um, and and no one like sort of came up to like see her for who she is. Like when I've watched like her feed the people and her,
The
set the
same
events
people.
up and
Yeah.
her give the ideas and her do most of the work as a henny penny,
Hmm.
and would be calling me on the backside like, oh girl, I need this, da 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 da, because we work very good. She's left-handed, so I'm the right hand. But you know what I mean? Like we work well like that, And so I've seen a very intimate scope about what she's been for this community. And I think it's sad. I think it's sad that they want to retaliate like this. I think that it's probably we've given it more energy than it needs, like on what Not So Dog says, like we could sit and just like keep, like rectifying a reputation. But, I feel like,
Actions speak louder than words.
yeah,
So,
like, I'm coast to coast, Q's coast to fucking Japan, Thailand, you know what I mean? So like she can, like, it's there's a couch, I mean a whole mansions that are like set up for me, man. So, and same for her. So I don't know how much more we have to waste on like our reputations necessarily, or if directing people to be educated is snitching. I think is also a really far gap. Like, no disrespect. I've actually spent most of my career working at about fifth grade literacy, and I still feel like people in fifth grade literacy could comprehend what happened on that post.
hmm.
And that drawing a line correct directly to calling someone a snitch, and then trying to take their brand while you opened up a new business that is a illegal market now. Um, it shows just a little bit of like scab marketing to me, little something like that, little
Yeah,
bottom
yeah.
feeder,
Here, let's
little
see what
bottom feeder
what uh
energy. But
what Gabby's got here.
I mean,
Like, are they trying to
um,
be me? Like, what's going on?
yeah, it's very weird.
So
So
yeah, I
they
mean,
backdoored
now
their
it's
way
about the
into your
women
spot,
brand.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, Q. I mean, like
I
on,
gave them that lemon cut, out of
mhm.
love. So,
Yeah,
you know,
so I don't know how much more, like, like for like on that, but like on you, like, yeah, like I would love to hear
yeah.
more
Here he
about like the
goes with the I better
lemon
watch
G.
out. Yeah,
I
better
mean,
watch out because that's snitching.
I can say that when I first met Q, as we'll call her, I asked around because I have friends in Ohio, and I want, and there's lots of people that come out of the woodwork with claims about whatever.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
I hit up buddies, like not like being suspicious or anything like that, but like,
Hmm.
what do you know?
Betting. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Betting
She's the
essentially.
real deal.
And
yeah.
every single person was like 100% that's who the lemon G is supposed to have come from. Like
Fuck
that's the
yeah.
name I've always heard in any of the stories I've been told about it or what have you. That's kind of where it came from. And I
Hmm.
think I think this is happening in every state actually. Like there's an element of like people that have been in this thing their whole life, and you're like told no, 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 you can't have it, you can't have it, and then the thing starts shifting, and it's like we want to influence it because we feel like we know about it and we've been here a long time and
Hmm.
we understand it. And there's a bunch of people with money that are like, no, 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 it's fine. We'll take it from here. Right.
Yeah, well, not
And so
just
there's,
that, but we'll take it entirely and y'all can't play, right?
yeah,
Like all
exactly.
those poor hemp farmers, spent all this time jumping through all the hoops for Ohio hemp program, invested all this money in the hemp beverages, uh, and now the governor vetoes the part where anybody except a dispensary can sell a hemp beverage in Ohio. That's
Right.
where
So,
we're at. The
so
second time they sell a hemp beverage to someone without being a dispensary, it's a felony.
we've had a joke in California that all the rules are going to get changed, but
Yeah.
it's up to you to survive.
It's up to
It's
you to
like
know the laws.
it's
That's the
no
only way,
it's no it's not good if you drown within sight of the Coast Guard ship coming to get you.
right?
And so since California went legal first, or went rec, not first, but the
You
West
guys are
Coast
our
did
cautionary tale.
early,
Yeah.
earlier. We went
Hmm.
through a lot of the same things of money coming in, and it's like you make all these good sounding regulations, and this is what Q fights on all the time, but it's like you start
Hmm.
stacking these requirements and it becomes pretty exclusionary to
Right.
only a
Yeah. Oh,
small
it's
select
on
group of
purpose.
people get
On
to
purpose.
participate. It's called regulatory capture. And I
Yep.
bring it up occasionally, but it's true. It's like individually, each rule sounds fair.
Right.
But then you stack all these rules together, and all of a sudden there's like 7 connected people that
Too much
qualify.
spokes in the wheel. Yeah,
And they
exactly.
weren't ever
Yeah.
involved in the in the previous era. They're just coming
Well,
in to try to swoop up the current profits and make it so that, like, you know, and
well, in 2015, Ohio voted down a monopoly that involved 10 pot bosses, right? They even had gotten their phone numbers. It was like pot boss 1 through 10, right? Like they were set up as a monopoly to take over Ohio. They had
yeah,
rock stars, they had NFL people, they had all these people coming in to try to pimp their shit law, right? But people in Ohio who wanted fair and equal access to industry and employment shot that shit down because a small group of people, pardon me, which included myself and Ciara, went around and educated folks, right? Ohio pays attention because we have a lot of old guard people who have kept these genetics for so long, right? And we don't want to turn them over and get nothing, right? So we're on the lookout for what's happening here, and the last few initiatives that were initiative statute and that were set up for only people with money were basically bought and paid for by that same group of pot bosses. When their amendment failed in 2015, they went around through some other national organizations and they lobbied the back door of our legislature to implement our shit medical program in the beginning. And it was exactly what you were saying. You had to have all the specific shit. Like you couldn't have an old building. You had to have a brand new building. You had to have brand new, and you had to have everything that those 10 pot bosses already had.
oh yeah,
Right. So who
there
got the
was a thing
licenses?
there was a thing in Florida where they did exactly that. And it
Yeah.
was like you had to have like a nursery in operation for over 30 years. You had to have this, you had to have this. And like when it
Right.
ended up, it's like the husband of one of the people writing it
Right.
just so happened to be one of the rare half a dozen people that could
Oh, no
qualify.
way.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, the
So,
thing is that, like, so if you just flip it around, right?
right.
Obviously we come from an era where, like, you're not allowed to do this, and we're like, not only are we going to do it, we're going to figure out how to get around all this all this law.
Right.
And now people make these rules and they expect that same group of people to not, everyone's bending and manipulating, and where are the
Right.
loopholes and where are the things they
Right.
didn't think through, and
Right.
all this different types of stuff that's going on, and like,
Right. Yeah, so and then there's like the national conversation where Trump has called out our legislature on the federal level to close all those loopholes in the Farm Bill, right? It's supposed to go into effect this November. Well, DeWine here in Ohio preemptively closed all those loopholes. That's essentially what Senate Bill 56 is doing, and why all these people who used to have businesses have shut down. So the reason this is happening is because we don't have a right to cannabis in Ohio. We have laws about cannabis. When I met Ciara in 2015, we were campaigning for people to understand how limited the laws were going to be if Responsible Ohio had won. And then immediately after they lost, we started working on a rights-based constitutional amendment. It was called it's Grassroots Ohioans. This was our original initiative petition. So it's something that any Ohioan could print at home. It's got our summary. It's got places for people to sign. And then it has the full text, which is here and on the back. This is what we were doing when I really started having dialogue with Ciara. And it is a rights-based amendment. So it's not an initiative statute, which is what issue 2 was. Instead, this would go into our Constitution and would enshrine the rights to cannabis for people in our state, right? It would say that we have the same right to it as we have to orange, right? And it would be regulated like any other agricultural crop, right? So I can grow an orange if I'm smart enough. It's hard in Ohio. Apple would be better, but I can grow it. I can share it with my friend. I can
Yeah,
make
sure.
baked goods out of it. I can share those with my friend. Oh, you want to make money off of it? Now you have to jump through the same regulatory hoops that you would for any similar agricultural crop, right? And the wording keeps big money from being the only ones that have the investment potential in this game, right? Because similarly, so regulating it like any other agricultural crop means that they can't put in all those ridiculous rules and regulations, right?
So for
Well, if we have the
California,
right.
for
Yeah.
If we
California,
have
when
the
we did
right.
215, which was the
Mm-hmm.
first medical law in the country at the time,
Mm-hmm.
it was basically written by a gay activist, and he kept it very simple and very vague in
Mm-hmm.
certain ways, right? Because the more specificity, like the more
Is there a
specifications
reason
you
why you're
have,
not saying his name?
the reason why I'm
Not
not
only
saying is,
that, dude, is
Good.
it's the more languages in there, the harder it
well,
is for people to print it and
on a
circulate
totally
it.
non marijuana related thing. I saw this Warren Buffett clip not that long ago. Was he's like, when I buy a business, I like a 2-page contract.
Right.
If I need a 50-page contract, it makes me worried that maybe I need a
Suspect.
55-page contract.
Yeah.
Like, did I put enough stuff in? Do I really want to be litigating and arguing on page 38, paragraph
Love that.
4? Right?
Yeah. Right.
Like, why can't
Mm-hmm.
we just write down in very simple terms? This is what it is. This is what I'm
Exactly.
buying it for. This is what happens. This is what 2
Yeah.
pages, I'm done.
Right.
Right? And the complexity is usually where all the loopholes and the carve outs and the corruption and the
Mm-hmm.
weirdness comes.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so simple things have less, there's less chance in there. And
Right.
that's basically, so maybe we should say this in general. What we're all on here talking about right now, essentially the core, but besides the thing we got past, which is we want as much freedom as is reasonably possible for cannabis.
Right.
Like,
We
Yes.
I
want
would love it to
equal
be, I would
access
love it,
to industry.
I would love it to be treated like heirloom veggies in a
Yeah.
way, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want to have a farm stand, I can have a farm stand. I
Mm-hmm.
think I made a cool new variety by crossing these 2 kinds of tomatoes. I would like to be able to send it to Q and Ciara and Gabby and not
Yeah.
have any weirdness legally.
The
Because
right
I
to
did,
interstate
I
commerce.
crossed a black tomato with a whatever, and I got this
Mm-hmm.
new varietal that, and then if you
Yeah.
want to have a business, like you said, well, then you need to get a business license and jump through some
Right.
hoops and do this thing. But it's like, preservation, for instance, like right now, if I was a drinker, which I'm not, I could have a full bar
Mm-hmm.
downstairs if I wanted to. I could have cases and cases of beer. I could have all kinds of alcohol. I could have every
Mm-hmm.
kind of, I could have bitters. I could have I could have every kind of additive. I could have all the accoutrements that go with it to make alcohol. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like you pass this law and you're like, okay, well, if you're not going to be in business and making money, you can have 6 plants and you can have 3 ounces of weed or something,
Right.
right?
And you
And
can't
that's,
share
Yeah.
with your friends.
So
you
yeah,
can't share it with your
the
friends. You
new
Can't
can't
share
do
with
law,
your
you
this.
can share it only in your home.
Yeah, now the driving thing, fine. You can't drink and drive. Like, I understand. Like,
Right.
maybe they don't want you
Yeah.
operating a motor vehicle or
Those
something
laws
like that.
already
But
Right,
exist.
Saraquoia,
Right.
only in your home. Hold on, let me make it
Yeah.
so that we can see each other.
Yeah.
Only
Senate
in
Bill
your home.
56. Mm-hmm.
That means that you can share a joint sitting on the couch with your friend,
You
but you're
can.
not allowed to give your friend a joint which she takes home. Is that what that
Yeah.
means?
No
No,
gifting
you
outside of
can.
the home.
You can?
Yeah, in the home. In the home you
in
can,
the
but
home.
they
In
lowered
the
But
it
home,
to
like,
you
like
can.
if Q and
Right.
Sierra wanted to go fishing, they couldn't
they lowered
share a
it
joint
to
on the
14
bank.
grams.
Okay, so the
Right.
fact
Yeah.
that
We
it's so
can't share the
confusing,
joint on the riverbank.
right?
You have to
No.
have
No.
but you could have your own joint that you didn't share.
No, you can't. No
No.
smoking in any public place
Mm-mm.
or any business.
Mm-hmm.
So do you see
Yeah,
why
they
we
didn't.
need that
He
Facebook
vetoed
and
the carve
Instagram page?
out for concerts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Our fine governor.
Well,
Hey,
the stupid thing is that I
hold
think,
on.
huh?
Q,
Yeah.
Q.
Yeah.
This is why we need your Facebook page and your Instagram page, right?
Oh,
Like
mine.
the
Yeah.
fact that like Because what we're trying to do is there's confusion about what's allowed, and so that's why
Mm-hmm.
Right.
you have
That's why
that
Taco, yeah,
that's
the
right.
Athens
So,
Cannabis
so can we
the
tell
bottom
people? Can
line,
you send me a link and I'll let Not So Dog talk? Text me the
Sure.
link, or put it in
For
the chat
Taco.
for Taco and the Instagram page that that you've been linking
Alright.
people to,
the
so
bottom
they can
line
find you there.
that everybody should be fighting for, and it's like I have this joke that like we all wanted legalization and then no one thought about day two. You
Yeah.
know what I
Right.
mean? And then day two comes along, and all these rich kids and corporate assholes and all these different people want to jump in, and all these rules and lobbyists and all this stuff we never considered.
Right.
So, like, basically, what I think about is that the fight isn't over, it just shifted. Because the fight was always about, I think I should be able to do this with cannabis.
Hey, Not
Right.
So.
Right? Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody made this comment, and I'm
Yeah.
sure I don't know if Saraquoia sees it, and
I haven't been looking at them because
I don't look at
it's
them either.
hard for
So,
me to see it and do
yeah,
that.
I can't
well,
see him.
this guy says, ask Sarah about ratting out a huge Ohio advocate for not following the new rules.
Huh?
Are they talking about what we're talking about now?
So we're gonna need more context.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
when did I rat them out exactly? Where were the cops?
And yeah, who are we talking about? Like we just went through this.
A huge
Where were the
Ohio
cops?
advocate? Was
Yeah,
this
like
someone
Yeah.
who
but
shows up?
that's exactly my point, right? So, like I said it 45 minutes ago or whatever, a random anonymous accusation on the internet, and
Right.
then
Mm-hmm.
do you ignore it, or are you forced to address every single time
I mean,
some random
bring something to
poster
the table that's
like
real, right?
shoots
Have some
across the
facts
thing?
of where I ratted, right?
so
Show me
Coach
some
Dexter, we're
charges.
blocking you
Be-
because you're not listening to reason, and you know,
because
Mm-hmm.
the
yeah.
bottom line, what it sounds for me, and for I haven't known Q all that long really, but what it seems like is she's been very laser focused on trying to expand the freedoms and the rights and the ability of other Ohioans to consume, share, trade, smoke, share plants,
Right.
share seeds, all this different stuff,
Totally.
and do so
Yep.
in a way that's not going to get them in trouble, especially if they're
Yep.
just private
Right.
citizens or friend groups, or
Yeah,
as
Yeah.
we
Sierra calls it,
hosted
your
a lot of
circle,
expos with our nonprofit,
as Sierra
right?
likes to call
And
it, your
then
little
like,
inner circle.
yeah,
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you share within your inner circle? Can you do the normal stuff
at
that you
the
could
at
do?
your home you can
Mm-hmm.
share with someone in your home. But
But like if I was invited to your house, right, and we
mhm,
were gonna have a cookout, I could bring a bottle of wine as a housewarming gift to set on the
right,
table so that people could share.
You could
You
bring
know?
9
right,
kegs to my house.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But
Okay.
if I wanted to bring a half ounce or something and set it on the table so people could roll free joints while we cooked out, and had
Yeah.
burgers and this and what have you, then that's
I
problematic,
think,
or
yeah,
could
no,
be.
I think you're still safe for that in your home as long as like children under
Well,
21
no,
don't
the
have access to it.
the limits. Will you pull that up on the or on your? Do you have your iPad up?
I believe it's 2.5 ounces
I
Okay.
thought they
So
outside
lowered
of the
it.
it's
home
so that's what I meant about
or
patchwork
one and
quilt,
a
is that
half.
it's a constant thing
hmm
of changes that
Mm,
goes on state by state.
So,
And that's why
um,
having a page where the information
right,
is there and you can like
right. Sorry, Gabby, I
go.
haven't brought that up.
Yeah, that's why
Um,
you can go to. Yeah, tech.
yeah.
Yeah, can you share
I'll
that
text
link?
it to you. I'll do it right now.
Put it in the
But
chat.
yeah, the other thing is that
Go ahead.
uh, this law just changed last Friday, right? I've
Yeah.
spent hours reading the 72 pages of the comparison from the Legislative Service Committee. Anybody can access that at ohio.legislature.gov. If you search Senate Bill 56, then you can scroll down to the comparative synopsis. You can click on that and you can decipher it. It has all of the times that they voted to change it and what the end result was. So I went through there. I sent some screenshots to people that have asked because the smoking in your car and the mandatory jail time that accompanies it is one of the things that I screenshotted. They inserted language
Taxes,
where they're taxing you even if you're an illegitimate company. Um,
10%.
the felonies for known sharing of hemp beverages when you don't have a license. The not being able to smoke in
Housing.
public or share outside of your home. Yeah, and they stripped away all of the protections that
Tenant
Ohio
rights.
voted on, where you couldn't be discriminated against in court cases, with jobs and family services, with landlords, and with employers. They can all now just discriminate the shit out of you, even though cannabis is legal for recreation in Ohio.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. The things that would change it is not another initiative statute, clearly, because when we changed it, they just changed it back, right? What's going to change it is a constitutional amendment that declares our rights and gets us out of this silly ass game where we're asking
Yes.
permission all the time.
I mean,
Yes.
the other thing that's going to change it to some degree, although this is like a much longer arc, is just generations,
Yeah,
right? Like
getting
as
But
away
we don't
from the
have
reefer
generations. We
madness.
already have like 100 years. Like,
no,
it's
but I
like
just
this is.
Yeah,
I
but
don't have
okay,
that
you can
time.
say okay, like not to get political for a second, right? But like old people vote, and they vote in large numbers, right?
right.
And typically, you know, and this isn't any like particular side or anything like
All
that,
right,
but we are
sending it.
ruled by significantly older people than any of us,
Yeah, but
generally
we could
speaking.
see that.
So that means just once that means
Okay.
that like whatever their norms were,
Hmm.
that's the norm as long as they're in power. You see what I'm saying? So there's like a generational thing going on where like as more and more people see it as normal, it's going to shift because people are growing up with, or people are going to grow up in Ohio with it as normal now, right?
Hmm.
These laws that are restrictive and we don't like, and we should certainly be fighting to change or what have you, in 5 or 10 years, people aren't going to be remembering as much the old bad times,
Yeah,
right? And so
yeah,
it's kind of like we want everything that we want now, and they're like, okay, we'll give you this, but it has to be restricted in this way and this way and this way and this way, and we want to make a bunch of money off it, right?
Hmm.
And that's the big struggle everywhere. And then
all
they're
right.
realizing that it's hard to make a lot of money off it the way they want to,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so there's a lot of investment that gets poured in, and then those
Hmm.
investors want it to be captured because they want a return on their investment. And so the difference is I think every state should have like as much commercialism as you want, but I also think you should be free to home grow. You should be free to trade amongst your friends. You should be able to do private
Yeah.
stuff. Like I think about it, like when I was a kid, there was no heirloom veggies in the grocery store, right? There just wasn't. Like the heirloom veggies, like growing up where I grew up, it was like that was like weird, crunchy, hippie catalogs. It was like a subculture of a subculture. And now
Huh.
you can go into big grocery stores and they have heirloom tomatoes, or they have this, or they have some different stuff going on, right? But it took a long time, and
Yeah.
that's the fight. It sucks because it's also like most of the people that have the most to say in cannabis have been used to hiding and staying invisible for a long time, where
Mm-hmm.
poking your head up was like whack-a-mole. You could get smoked,
Mm-hmm.
or made an example
Yeah.
of. And now
Yeah.
people
I
like
mean,
you and others are forced to come out because they're like, these laws are bull. We need to do
yeah.
something
Right.
about it. This is
Yeah.
not
No,
even
we
fair.
are doing stuff about it, dude.
Hmm.
We've just like California had a lot of cities that they had run little decrims in, which means that they
Hmm.
had passed individual laws that said no crimes, no fine, no court costs for what is essentially still a crime. If it's a misdemeanor, I'm not sure if you guys were able to do that for felonies, but we couldn't here. But we have like over 20 little municipalities in Ohio where
Hmm.
people like us have passed decriminalization laws, and it's a lot of beating the pavement and talking to real people and having real conversations,
And the one cool
and
thing
yeah,
about our country is that because Athens did it, so can your little community.
yeah,
So
that's
if
it.
you have a
Even in
small
the
little
face of the new
township,
laws.
jurisdiction, different
Hmm.
whatnot, and you can like run this by and get the amount of signatures you need, and there's an easy hack to doing all of this. Like it's just a
Hmm.
numbers game, this is a system and systems follow rules. And so You
Right.
just follow that out. It's like writing a grant, and then it's like, okay, cool. Like, this is what we have to have. This is what we produce. And then you get that, put before the powers to be. And then, and then the people vote on that. And then,
Hmm.
you move forward. So these things
Yeah,
are
that's the
not
only
just
way it
valuable
really
to Ohio
changes.
citizens, but they're valuable to other places that have prohibition to
Well,
cannabis and to other
not all
plants.
states have initiative statute. A lot of
Hmm.
states don't have the choice for citizens legislation, and it's not something that the elected really approve of or appreciate, because
Yeah,
when we take the law and we actively work and change the law ourselves, then it may not be like what they really wanted to do or agreed with, obviously, or they would have
sure.
changed the law themselves.
Yeah.
So it's a very powerful tool that we have in Ohio that we should be appreciative of, because
We
it's
have it in
not like that
California
everywhere. Yeah,
Hmm.
too.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
Hmm.
in California, just because people figure out the rules, it's like there are plenty of citizen initiatives that are bankrolled and fully funded
right,
and promoted by
right.
large interests trying to get
Hmm.
citizens to vote on something that they probably couldn't pass through the legislature, you
That's how
know?
our original cannabis law was, the Responsible Ohio one. It was
Hmm.
definitely bankrolled by those 10 pot bosses, right? And it took a lot of boots on the ground from a small group of individuals who were totally hated on. Like I said, that's when they were calling both me and Attorney Wirtschafter, who's been a normal lawyer, a very well respected one for a lot of decades, big pharma, and they went so far as trying to set people up to get them to shut their mouths about their monopoly, right? So, like, yeah, it's money until
Hmm.
it's rights, and then we have the right.
Hmm.
Ciara, I'm going to introduce Ciara for a minute since Gaby had talked about that a little while back.
I thought you would
No.
have done it while I walked away for a minute.
Uh-oh.
Hmm.
So,
No, go ahead.
Ciara, this is the last initiative petition that was approved by the governor or the AG that was rights-based, and it was the We Grow Ohio campaign. And Ciara and I are both committee members on this statewide campaign. So this is what happens when you put your name on the line because you want to improve cannabis laws in Ohio. Okay. So we've gone out ever since the end of the monopoly together, circulating petitions, collecting signatures, talking to Ohioans about how we can run a rights-based amendment and get it to the finish line, which I think Ohio still needs to do. But if people want to be divisive and run in little circle jerks of rumor mill, and they don't want to take the time to absorb real information or read, then it's going to be difficult, and the legislature is going to win. So I
Hmm.
hope that
Hmm.
people that can, take a little bit of a civics lesson and understand, that, we've been advocating for cannabis for a long time, and there's a difference between an initiative statute and a constitutional amendment, which is what we need, could come around and find some inspiration in the leadership of women that have been out here beating this path, and not be hating and not even taking the time to investigate, inform yourselves. Right now is the time for Ohio to be informing themselves,
Hmm.
and one of the things that Donnie used to tell us at the hemp rallies and stuff was like, don't break two laws at once, right? It's like it's very simple math, right? It doubles your chances of stupid shit happening to you, right? So, and people that are advocates for real change and working within the community and the law, like Ciara and I have been, are not going to be appreciative of being roped into bullshit in the limelight right now in Ohio, you know? So we have bigger ambitions. I want to go where I can, utilize my talents. I'm
Hmm.
not going to sit here and continue to like try to help people who don't want my help, you know. So,
One
but
thing,
Ciara's
Yeah.
like, she's a
one thing
smart
I
girl and she's international. So she's been down in Costa Rica already. She's going back there, and we may be WoW from Costa Rica before you know it.
One of the things I think I should mention is
Right.
that we get this a lot where people are like, I want you to keep the politics out of my pot, you
Yeah,
know? And we've entered
yeah.
we've
Don't
entered
we
the era
all?
where
Yeah,
it used to be very simple. It was like you just did whatever you wanted and didn't get caught.
yeah. You
And
don't
then if you
talk
got
about it,
caught,
right?
you were totally screwed. But like if you
Yeah,
didn't get caught, you could kind of do whatever you wanted. And now politics has entered the chat,
yeah.
and so you can
Right.
either participate, which is what Q is talking about doing, participate in fighting to change it, or
Hmm.
other people are going to be writing what the rules are.
Right.
So
Mhm.
so politics isn't a choice anymore. You can't just ignore it anymore.
Right.
Like, I mean, I guess if you're in a totally illegal state, you can, but in these states where rec and medical and all this stuff is being debated and laws are being passed, if you like, democracy style, if you want your viewpoint to be heard, or even your viewpoint to become the norm and to become what happens, well, then you have to be kind of loud about it and you have to fight
Right.
for it
Mhm.
and you have to do this thing that's uncomfortable.
Hmm.
You have to stick your head up.
Yeah.
And that can be, since we're coming out of the shadows, it can be a little riskier.
Right.
Like, I don't,
Mhm.
it's not as all as risky, but it's like, there's a significant portion. Well, I was just thinking about, like, I almost said like the civil rights thing, but like we're not really getting killed or beaten or brutalized too
No.
badly or anything like
Yeah.
that. But I just mean,
No.
like, there's a significant part of the
Imprisoned and
population
marginalized. You know.
that doesn't want what we want,
Hmm.
and so we have to fight for what we want, you know, and
Hmm.
that's basically what Q has been talking about over and over and over again. And when you try to fight for what you want, that might brush up against other people's economic, or they want to capture it, or they want to
Right.
this, or they want to that, or they have their own
Hmm.
agendas to it.
They
And
smell money and they're suddenly
and
interested
you
in.
can get
Mhm.
chopped at from a variety of angles just because you choose to be political and you're trying to, like, fight for people's right to to have the freedom to do what they want.
Hmm.
It's
Oh
essentially it.
yeah.
Because I don't think weed is legal anywhere, to be honest. I
Right.
don't
I was
believe
going to ask
rec.
where's that at, but
I don't believe it is
Nowhere.
yet, because
you're
I don't
right.
believe I
Maybe.
don't believe for the most part that I was trying to think of, like what's completely legal for me to grow or buy, but I can't send it across a state line to a friend if I wanted to. What's completely legal, but I have a cap on how much of it I can own.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Or
know what I'm
what
saying?
potency it can
Like,
have. Ohio just
like,
capped potency too. So now your stuff that was higher than 70% concentrate is going to be adulterated with some bullshit so that it can be 70% or
when I
less,
was going,
Ohio.
dude, when
Hey,
I was
so
traveling to see dead shows,
I'm gonna
we went.
mute him.
Hold on,
You gotta
we
watch.
went through.
What's
Siri.
up, Gabby?
I just wanted to mute him for a second.
Uh-oh.
I just wanted to say, like, we were going to dead shows, and we were driving through Utah one time, and we stopped to get dinner, and my friends got some beer, and Utah had a 3% cap on alcohol content.
Wow.
So, like,
Oh.
the beer that they were getting was like max, so maybe it was like Keystone Light,
Like
ultra
near
filtered
beer.
light, you know,
Yeah.
not near beer, but pretty low. That was like the max you could sell in their state at the time was 3%, you know,
Yeah.
and
So
and
let me say something, which
Here
I've
you
been
go.
trying to say for a few minutes right now. First of all, this has been a classic example of how we do our show. And we did
Yeah.
like an AI review of how we do our show. And one of the things that it says is that we interrupt each other too much and we go off
Hmm.
track and there's too
You're
many
not focused.
yeah, there's too many people, And so the first thing I want to do is I want to ask everybody to please comment, what they think if there's too many people. The interrupting I think is great. The tangents I think are great because we go places that we wouldn't go if it was too scripted.
Hmm.
But I love you guys. And
Hmm.
I like
wait,
that
I'm
part
not, I'm
so
gonna mute
much.
you. I'm gonna mute you again. I'm gonna mute you. No.
Yeah.
I
But let me
like
just
that
say
part
this. Let me say
because
this.
when I
Let me say
started
this.
podcasting, I just wanted,
Okay.
I wanted it to be like a real weed conversation,
Yeah.
like between where people are constantly getting interrupted,
And one
right?
Hell
person
And
gets
yeah.
too
tangents are
high and
happening
becomes a
all
little
the time.
quiet.
You know, all this different stuff is people are trying to get a word in, like they get a half a sentence out, and someone goes in a
I
different
have a
direction.
mute
They're
button
trying to
though.
hold on to their thought.
I have a
You
mute
know,
button. And at any time I can silence Notso Dog, and I choose not
but
to
I
do
just,
it because I
but
love
to
him.
me, that's like if it was all scripted and we're back and forthing it, and we each know we're gonna, and like part of it is chaos. Like part of it's chaos, low chaos. Where's it
Yeah.
gonna go?
So what I was going to say about the
Yeah.
politics is that I think moving forward, every show we should do a short segment about politics because
Yeah.
there's only so much that people can take at a time. That's what I think about Me Too. You know what I mean? So like if we do a show and it's like 2 hours of politics, some people just get bored. Some people be like, "Hey, I don't really give a fuck about that. I know what I need to know." But I think constantly sprinkling it in is good because then some people that know everything, we might accidentally just sprinkle something in that they don't know while they. So from now on every episode of WoW, and if Saraquoia is ever a guest host on any shows that aren't WoW, we'll have
Hmm.
like a couple of minutes where Saraquoia talks politics and like
Yeah.
what you know about Ohio and beyond.
Uh-oh.
So,
Mhm.
but on that note, we lost Q. That was a bad time to lose her because I was gonna, and just like
Nice.
that,
For some
I was
reason, it disconnected me from the studio.
like,
I changed my ear pod and then it like,
oh, try not to
ooh,
do
don't
that.
do that. No, I didn't mean to. I dropped it out of my ear. Yeah, there was the prankster in me
Mhm.
that just like can't even help myself.
You are
Uh,
fucking with me, Q.
no, dude, it's not
You
me.
know better. No, I'm only kidding. Everything's gonna be
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
But you
it's
know
the
what I want to
gravity.
do? You know what I wanted to do?
Mm.
I wanted to say, look, we're not done talking politics. We've got a lot, but like in an effort to like, it's been 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about some heavy shit,
Mm-hmm.
and then we talked politics, and so now I think we should talk some weed stories,
Okay.
and like, and it's up to you if you want to just start talking more about your weed story, or you had another friend that you wanted to invite. I don't know what you actually
Yeah.
do about that.
Well,
But let's get to just telling some good weed stories. I know you got a bunch of them. Everybody should know,
oh yeah.
if you don't already, Saraquoia is the breeder of the Lemon G,
Yeah.
and you can get that cut from me,
Yeah. There you go.
ABYSI.com. And
Mhm.
so, but yeah, let's talk
Cool.
weed stories.
Cool.
Let's go on. I know there was a bunch of stuff that Ohio Terps like get to the Lemon G.
Yeah. There you
Like
go. Right
I don't know
on.
if there's anything before the Lemon G that you want to tell us. You know, I just want to give you your.
Well, I mean, before the lemon G, my first love was that Misty. Yeah, no, I mean the
Mhm.
Misty was definitely one of my favorite strains from that era, but I also really liked the AK-47, right? Because that shit was quick. It was especially
Mhm.
quick in hydro, so that was a good one prior to lemon G. But like living during that time when as the uncles would say, like, you can go just as many places with a bag of weed as you can with a bag of money. Like these were good times to be alive, and definitely if you had something special like the lemon or the dumpster or the Death Star, then people, their ears perked up, their noses like, oh, like that was good shit. And it was different from like the Mexican that a lot of people were still importing at the time. Like when we made the lemon, there was still probably 2/3 of the people that I knew that smoked cannabis were smoking stuff that they were like actively picking stems and seeds out of, um, and especially like up in the city and stuff, we'd go up to Columbus and hang out. There's a well-known band from up there that was kind of like a weed affiliate. You guys know Acoustic Hookah. So they were like the weed affiliate band. So we would go up to their shows and, you know, share our cannabis with everybody, because that's how our community is, you know. At the end of the day, we're like a community of people that want to share our cannabis with each other, you know. So we would go up there and take our lemon up, and it was like you opened up a pot of gold or something. I was like, whoa, what is that, you know? And it was like, you know, it was easy to market, but it was also easy to become a target, right? You know, because back then we couldn't just like be like, yeah, that's me and this is where I live, you know. So we never got our weed out where we lived, you know, like because that was too close to home, you know. And that's how everybody that was living in the underground growers trade at the time was, because like what Notso was saying earlier, there were very real risks, right? You could lose everything, you know. And those people that were bringing in all of that like mid-grade herb from other places were taking even greater risks, you know. They could get snatched up off the highway, you know, and lose everything, you know. The clever ones didn't, because they had built panels in their cars, or they figured out ways around, you know, like cops and dogs, all of the different dangers that we had back then, including people knowing too much about your business, you
Yeah.
know? Like, yeah. So, like, going up to the city where we could, like, share our weed with other people, that was fun, right? Bringing them back to the farm, oh, hell no, you know? Um, the
When I,
anomaly
yeah,
of that was that guy, Jason King. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? He
Oh
wrote
yeah.
the Canna Bibles, right? Like this dude, um, he met me at Bonnaroo in 2003. He was with this guy, we called, he was a goo ball guy, but he came from Ann Arbor, and he had like some affiliation with a shop there in Ann Arbor. So he knew Jason from his book tours, right? Like trying to promote the book and stuff. But he also knew me from Hookahvilles and stuff. So he pulled me aside with him. Hey, you should meet him, talk to him. Yeah, it's Lemon G, you know, we talked about Lemon G and all that. And he mentions it in one of the books as like one of the like strains that people want to get like most sought after. But
mhm.
then when we get to the point of like, hey, do you guys think that I can maybe come there and take pictures? It's like, no, I really don't think you can, you know, because like we just lived in the community where we did have like very tight rules about like just not wanting to get in trouble, you know.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
mean,
so I denied him that access, but I had that conversation with them. And we, you know, we talked about the herb, and I really appreciate all the stuff that he did get in and was able to do. But the group of outlaws I was working with weren't that far from the group over in Kentucky, and they would have been like, "Have you lost your fucking mind?" If I even asked them about somebody coming in and taking pictures of our plants, you know. So
I
yeah,
used to, my friend, I mentioned him before on the show, but my friend Sean, when I first started growing, I used to buy an eighth or a quarter, for 50 or $100 off my friend Sean at parties.
yeah,
So,
right on,
15 or 20 people would see me buying a sack. So
right,
that later
yeah.
on, when I had a little nug of that sack, it was like, oh, right.
Yeah,
Like,
that's where you got it.
like
Yeah,
that's the course
exactly.
where, and there was,
Hmm.
we used to drive around at, 2, 3 in the morning with our waste from our 4-liter looking for open dumpsters.
Oh
So
yeah,
we could
dude.
figure out a
Totally.
way, like, where are we going to get rid of this? Like, how
Yeah,
is it
dude.
going to, there was a
Right. Yeah,
lot
you
of,
couldn't just throw all your Rockwell cubes in the fucking trash where you live, you know.
no,
There's only
that
so
was,
much geolite you can dump out in the garden before it starts floating up,
and
you
I didn't
know.
have
But
Gabby's industrial toilet, so it wasn't an option for me to
right.
just flush all of it away the way he was
Right.
able to.
Right.
I had to
Yeah.
actually physically remove it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, people don't like. One thing I think I should mention, because when you were talking about it, is like, if you liked herb
Hmm.
and back then, and you met someone and they had a nice sack of herb, it was like amazing because it
Hmm.
was rare. It wasn't that easy to come across. you know,
Right.
even like finding someone that would have it sometimes, you know, like most of
Right.
these people's scenes or grows weren't very big. So like
Right.
it would be like a flash in the pan. There'd be a little bit around for a few days, and then what was there
Yeah.
would be all soaked up, and then it'd be gone for months, and you're back to Mexican.
Yeah,
People
yeah,
would
we
buy
had
it.
friends that would trade with the dumpster crew, you know, and then they'd show up. We'd have like a QP a dumpster, right? But
Hmm.
that's all you'd get, dude. Maybe 3 months later, at the end of the next grow, you might be able to get a QP a dumpster, you know, like what you're saying, you know, because was like a very niche craft thing. Even people taking the bigger risks, like it wasn't hard to get rid of good weed, you know, like it didn't take very long to get it out of the house. You
And
know?
one thing that people, I always thought this when I traveled or whatever, people don't give Ohio, like for instance, like, you know, Ohio has like 4 or 5 cities as big or bigger than Boston.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a
Right.
lot of human beings in Ohio, right? When I went
Right.
on Dead Tour, like there was a lot of there was a lot of deadheads from Ohio. There was a lot of different people from Ohio. Like Ohio
Yeah.
was kind of the bridge between the Midwest and the East Coast. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it borders on one side, like basically Appalachia, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other side is sort of fully Midwest, and Cincinnati is kind of like the South or the northern part of the South. And so it's a big state, like
It is,
population
dude.
wise, size
Mm-hmm.
wise. Like there's a lot of stoners, there's a lot of smokers, there's a lot of hippies, there's a lot of different folks.
Yeah.
You know, it's people think of it, they don't realize how many humans live there. There's a
No,
lot of
and they don't
people.
know about our good weed either, you know? Like there's a lot of good weed that's come out of Ohio. You know, the Death Star, the Lemon G, the Dumpster. These are legendary weeds, you know, and they were all bred right here in our communities. Um, you know, and shared with each other, you know. Um, Yeah, Gabby, you were mentioning other storytellers. Maggie, I'm not sure how we would get her on, but Death Star
You just
Maggie.
gotta share the link that
Um,
I sent you.
okay,
Same one that you
cool. Let me
sent
try to
Ciara.
share it
Same
with
link.
her and see if she can get on.
Yeah, but I mean,
Because she,
we still have a
if we
big
want
story
to,
to tell, but it's just
yeah, she probably remembers things about me just like I would
then
about the
get her
Death
on.
Star and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
AI
yeah,
told us
back
our
in the day,
panel
I
was
mean,
too big, and I say fuck Chat GPT.
uh,
I want
I
yeah,
actually
to
I
switch
actually
up.
probably have to hop off in a second. I've gotten a couple calls, and I got a call. My daughter's having surgery next week, and I got to call her.
oh man, wow,
Yeah, it's gonna be okay, but it's a big process, and like I'm getting
yeah,
like daily calls from like the anesthesiologist setup person and the follow up person and the this person and like the,
yeah, you
you
got to
know.
take care of that stuff.
So I probably have to hop off and holler back at these people. But by no means does that mean that it has to end on any
Yeah,
level.
right on.
So
All right.
Yeah, well,
Love
It's
you
see
nice
you,
guys.
talking
dude.
with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was nice to meet you, and it was
Don't
nice to
forget you gotta
chat.
leave
Likewise.
it
And
open
I
for
will say
you
one more
downloaders.
thing, just real quick. I don't exactly know when it's going to happen, but as far as this WoW thing goes, I have a personal friend of mine who's a champ, and she
Yeah.
agreed to come on the WoW. She's grown for a long time. She's got a bunch of stories. She's super chatty. Her and I partnered on a number of projects over the years, so there could be some like related stories. It's coming
Heck
up
yeah.
soon, but hopefully within the
Hmm.
next 1 or 2 episodes here, we'll have her on. And I'm super pumped because she has a lot of amusing, you know,
Is this
and
Phoebe?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 I mean, the thing is just, she came out to California, and like most people don't know, Trinity County is like literally like, it's like Little House on the Prairie. You know,
Hmm.
it is like backwoods, like, and like most people that grow weed didn't live that far out. And she went like frontier status with her
Hmm.
boyfriend at the time, and
Hmm.
grew out there like on basically on the the cliff edge of civilization, you
Wow.
know.
Far
Like
out, man.
pretty intense place for a woman to be. You know, she has some positive and negative stories about it or whatever, and then we grew together in Mendo for a number of years and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
coming up next week or two. I'm super pumped about it. And yeah, I'm gonna hop off, and I'm gonna call my daughter's hospital, but love to everyone, and I will see
Peace.
you all soon.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks
Everybody.
for your input.
Bye.
Cool.
I hope he
Let's
remembers
try and
to
see if I
keep it.
can get this link to her. Huh?
I hope he remembers to keep it loading.
Oh yeah, who knows?
I sent them a message real
That's
fast.
the tough
Sorry
one.
for this brief interlude, everybody. In this moment, I think everyone should get high.
Yes. Taking a step.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we just got restricted. You
We
took
got
my spot.
restricted.
You told people to use drugs.
Oh yeah, right.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, What's up, lady? You need a joint? Are you coming out?
No, no.
you guys didn't
You
know
know
that they
my
weren't in the same house. Ciara was just
Right.
rooms over.
Yeah. Yeah. Now she's outside. Oh yeah, here she is.
Hey,
Yeah.
so
Can't
if
handle
we're
it
taking a
anymore.
little interlude, I need to move. My blood is cold in the other room.
oh yeah,
And
you're good.
the daffodils are out.
Yeah, it is
Oh, you're
pretty
good.
nice out here right now. I can't really complain about
Oh no,
Southeast
but
Ohio in the springtime. But,
So
yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
we were in Southwest Ohio when we were breeding the lemon, though. We lived kind of between Yellow Springs and Kentucky, if you were like kept going down that direction. And we were in the middle of nowhere, right? Which is like the best place to grow weed. So you don't got a lot of nosy neighbors around trying to smell stuff. You only have like, your own crew of nosy people. You can be like, stay out of there, or whatever. And it was definitely a different ball game. The stakes were high. And they're getting back that way in Ohio, and I think it was kind of this false security, this issue two passage, because
well, let's
it
not talk
did bring a lot of
mm,
people out,
let's not talk
but
politics. Let's talk lemon
yeah,
G.
well, I'm just thinking about the dangers of the then and the now.
That's just because that's what
Yeah,
Saraquoia does. Oh, you
yeah,
listed
that's
as
true.
Sarah again. How offensive. No, tell us about the lemon G. Because
Okay,
that's what people are
so,
telling if they want to
all
hear.
right, yeah, so Lemon G, it was the late 90s. We were in Southwest Ohio. We were growing the G13 that would come from Kentucky by way of seeds. And we would grow them outside usually, and we'd sex them in the springtime by putting them into our 12-12 room, which, and looking back on it, is not the best thing to be doing because eventually we had males that didn't get weeded out well and pollinated the skunk misty that we were growing. And that is the lemon G. So it takes after the skunk quite a bit, and it's like giant bud size. And it takes after the misty in that it has that like citrusy, skunky flavor to it. She will survive pretty much anything, but at the same time, like not grow well for you if there's any kind of issues with the room. So outside it grows great. It's giant. It'll get as big as these plants behind me. Inside doesn't want to be too hot, doesn't want too much nitrogen. Will take over the space, will be bigger than any other plant in there. So most people that I know that are successful that grow the lemon G don't grow other things, at least in the same like space of light as she is what you've got her under, because the other things will have a different canopy, and then you won't have as good of success. To me, less veg time is better because it takes forever. It takes like 3 months to flower her. And because it's sativa dominant, it will continue to grow even once you flip it to 12-12. So, like some plants, hash plants, they'll like flip right away when you flip them, and they won't really get very much bigger than what they were when you started flowering them. The lemon is not one of those plants. So if you start flowering it too late, and it's already too tall, it's getting lanky, it'll really stretch to try to get to that light. Then you need to be ready to start doing some bending over, tie it down to the side of the bucket, smack, break the arm, do whatever you got to do, or it will overgrow your life. So, I spilled the water.
Right.
Second time today.
I know, that is the second time.
So it's seeds of the G13,
Yeah,
right?
the G13 was the male pollen.
And then that was just the one that you guys selected as the best one.
Yeah, so there was a whole, like, we were like, well, fuck, we gotta do something with these seeds, but we didn't know that some of them would be like completely like fucked and not useful at all, because we were not breeders. We were people that were just growing this weed, and like usually we would either get, clones in the garden, or we would get the seeds from our friends in Kentucky. And so we set up these, we flowered, or we grew some of the seeds, weeded out the males, had like 6 plants that looked really great and promising, kept them labeled in buckets, flowered out cuts of them. It was like a year process, really. But immediately, like, some of them were real lemony, some of them were skunky, some of them were like cat piss, some of them were like pine saw, right? And there was some that were like real, like the gassy side of cat pissy. It was like really kind of rank, and some of them had like a almost hollow stem, like the G13 will get. And those turned out to be more ruderalis kind of variety, where they didn't really get people high, right? So here we've got this weed that's like skunky, is like, whoa, it has like the loud smell of just like, what? And then it wouldn't get people high, they were like, what the fuck is this? Now looking back on it, knowing what I know today, I feel like, maybe we missed out due to lack of education on some good CBD medicine. The lemon is good medicine. I've had numerous people with conditions like multiple sclerosis, like epilepsy, other disorders, muscular dystrophy, that have said that the lemon, out of all of the different varieties that they have had access to, helps them the most. And I didn't know why. I didn't understand it. I'm starting to understand it more now, and that others that have been growing it have had it tested and have reported back to me that it has a high CBD content. So that's pretty kick-ass, because CBD does have a lot of useful benefits that we knew nothing about. All we knew was like, this is not the one that we're keeping, back then. So the lemon grows, it's like a thick bush with the bud, kind of like Durban poison, or like any other sativa-esque, where it'll get like the super thick leaves coming out, the dense buds. So it's a real bitch to trim. A lot of people abandon it for that reason. They'll be like, oh, fuck this thing, But I just make sure she's getting all the love, so she's real sugary, and then I just leave that on the outside. So
So you know what's funny about what you just said?
what?
I used to tell people the same thing about the Chem 91, just
Yeah,
about like how much it was a bitch to grow,
yeah,
you know? It's
right.
just like, and somebody was like, well, you just don't want anyone to have, you don't want me to have it. You don't, it's like, I gave it to him. I had told him I was going to give it to him, but it's like, it's one of those things, like it was the opposite with the Chem 91, because
Yeah.
we would grow it next to the super skunk, right? And
Oh yeah, we grew super skunk.
super skunk would tower over it,
Yeah,
so like we'd
yeah,
constantly be having to like push the super skunk back so it
right.
wouldn't overwhelm, the Chem
The Chem
91,
91. Yeah,
and so in this example, the sour was um
was
the
the
lemon.
winner, huh?
No, it was the
Yeah, that
lemon.
was your
It was
winner.
just no,
Yeah.
it was like your lemon. Like if you
Oh
put
yeah.
next to the lemon is
Mm-hmm.
gonna eat it like a climbing vine,
Right. Totally.
and it's
Yeah.
hard to like keep them
Yeah,
away.
I've seen her straight knock other girls over while I was gone for the weekend and come
She's a
back, and
bully.
it's like, towering over the buckets like this. Yeah, like, dude. But Yeah, so it's a beast mode plant. It's totally worth hanging on to, you know. Luckily, we have a good big community where I could hand it off. I could get it back, you know, because I've definitely had to move a time or two where if I didn't have others that I trust and rely on, that we wouldn't have the lemon now, you know. So it's not all me, it's community that's kept this plant sacred and available to everyone over these last couple of decades here, dude. You know, so yeah, and I know there's a lot of different lemons out there, but mine grows like that super skunk, right? Like it'll just like where other buds have little buds on the stem, this thing has colas, you know, and so you get to like that very top giant cola, you know. You know, just be ready to look out for some bud rot if you overfeed it, you know, because I've seen people do that too. Like, oh, hell yeah, I gave it all this PK and I can hide my head behind it. It's like, cool, but, you know, better make sure that you're checking that middle because you'll end up with like that white middle if you're not careful.
The biggest mistake that people do in that scenario is they don't take the leaves out that are dying. If you
Right.
let any leaves die into your flower, that's gonna make a bud like that rot right away. You know, so make sure that you remove those leaves.
I'm gonna let our dog in.
Let the puppy in.
Come
So
on, mister. Come on, get in here.
I don't know if you can hear Saraquoia.
Yeah.
Dude Henchman says, does the lemon usually have a twisted finger in a few of its leaves?
Yeah, well, if you give it too much nitrogen, or if anything goes on with its roots, it'll overreact 100%. If it gets too much nitrogen, once it's in, like it's starting to get its sets for flower, it'll get the claw. Like all of them will get the claw, but the lemon will be like the overreactive claw because it's kind of got like a naturally built-in claw the way that its thick ass bush is anyway. So, you know, it's gonna be hard on you to trim that shit if you give it any excess nitrogen. So yeah, it does have the tendency to do that, a little round thing.
And so, besides being powerful medicine like you described, what does it taste like? Does it taste like lemon terps, like citrus?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, mostly lemon. It's got some skunky back notes to it. It's definitely dominant in other things that it gets crossed with. I've seen a few different crosses because now that we're kind of out of the closet in Ohio, people want to bring me their lemon, you know, or like try this lemon. And the lemon it's very overpowering if you like even with that our strawberry lemon G, it's mostly the lemon that you smell and you get the flavor of. But it has the more of the characteristics of the strawberry cough, where it's like denser bud, less overreacting, much longer, I mean, much shorter flowering time than the lemon.
Can you tell us
So
about the strawberry lemon G? Like, what is
yeah,
that and how
so
that?
it's lemon G times strawberry cough, and it was bred here in Athens. So and I've been running it and keeping it around, and I like it a lot, you know. And I like it because of that shorter flowering time. So yeah, otherwise it gets purple. It gets the purple stems, and it gets like purpley leaves where the lemon doesn't really do that. So like a lemon hardly ever gets purpley. You know, I've seen it get purple under those new LEDs, but
Hmm.
that's like light toxicity purple. It's
Right.
not like cool purple, you know. It's like
Different.
purple. Yeah.
Yeah. It's different for sure. I've seen the
Yeah, for
sour go
sure.
purple, and people were like, "Well, that's not it." I was like, "Well, look at the lights you're using. You
Right.
know, like particularly like
Yeah.
some of those blurple lights.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
the
like
beginning.
and then you get really close. Like all sorts of weird stuff can happen. It can do like bleaching, make the buds
Hmm.
totally white. Like I've never seen, like the buds don't look burned, they look bleached.
Yeah, I've seen
Mhm.
that, the light
Yeah.
bleaching. I've seen it happen on the skin
Mhm.
of the leaves too, where
Yeah.
they get that
The
white.
LED lights are super powerful. You know,
Yeah,
people
they
have to
are, dude.
know how to
Yeah.
use them.
Yeah, I run mine on about 50%, sometimes less during flower, you know. So,
Mhm.
So somebody says a lot of people have the G, not the G13, but thinks it's the lemon G. What's that?
um, I mean, if it smells
Never-
like lemon, it's probably the lemon G, you know, because like the G13 didn't really smell like lemon much at
Mhm.
all. It had that same nature of being like dark green, kind of, you know, um,
Mhm.
but it was a much different plant. Yeah, which I think is why we had such a wide variety of like weird sisters to the lemon, you know, like the one that wouldn't get you high, and the one that was like pine saw, is because the G13 is a very weird plant. It's like not like that Ohio G13 that people you see that's like the regular looking light green plant that could be confused with anything. Um, this plant grew more like a Kush bud. You know, it stayed low to the ground. It had super compacted buds. And the smell and the flavor was really unique to that plant. It's hard for me to describe even outside of like, oh, I don't know. It was like a more of a sweet, earthy terp, if that makes sense, the original G13.
Mhm.
There are others who remember it, you know, that could also describe it as the same. But it had like really compacted buds. They were like golf ball hard. They were hard like the sugar maple seeds, you know, the ones that
Mhm.
are all prickly.
Mhm.
Um, and they didn't always compact together. The G13 didn't. The reason it was cool to grow it outside was because it stayed so short and because it wasn't very susceptible to mold or bugs because it was hard as fuck,
Are we
you
talking
know?
about the strawberry or
No,
the
I'm talking about the original G13. If somebody
That's
was
weird.
asking about
Yeah.
G13.
It's weird that the lemon G
Hmm.
becomes such a beast. It
Right.
yeah,
Well, but it's the skunk misty, dude,
right.
that makes the beast. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
because those are the sativas with the big bracts, you
Hmm.
know, and then it caught, I don't know, man, the rubbery, weird leaf consistency of the old G13 from the one that we kept. So, like I said, others of them, like the what, we called it the one that wouldn't get you high, was shorter and was more like G13 than the one that we kept. You know, obviously we kept the best one, right? The one with the
Mhm.
biggest buds and the one with like, you know, the nicest smell.
But
You know,
like we
because
were
the
saying,
Lysol is a sister plant of lemon G. It was one of those seeds that we kept. And I know for a fact that our buddy took it all the way to Colorado, right? The Lysol
Mhm.
went to Colorado. I reached out to my buddy there and he doesn't grow it anymore. But there's people around Ohio that have told me they think they have it. And
Mhm.
it still has the big buds like lemon G. It's shaggy as fuck, hard to trim, but it smells more like pine saw and less like sweet lemons. So
Mhm.
those were the two difference between those two. You know, neither of them were like the frostiest plant in the room, right? But they were like the dominant plant in the room.
Mhm.
So, and even now, like the strawberry lemon G is frostier than the lemon is. So, but I have not had anything tested, so I don't know. I know because I know the flower and I have my own senses, right? But those are intuitive from decades of cannabis.
you know what I wanted to say was Notso Dog had mentioned in another show, and I think we might have hinted on it today about we might have thrown away the plants that were the strongest medicine.
Right?
Mhm.
You know,
Not
because
knowing.
you're like the what didn't get you high.
Yeah, we were like, what? You know, because it was like,
It was probably
people
so
were
high.
like real mad at us. We're like, what? But
It was probably so high because it looked badass, right?
yeah, and it smelled rank. It was like, whoa,
Right. So
you
it's probably
know?
super high in CBD. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I know
it
now, you
still had
know,
some
but
powerful medicine in it. It just
mhm,
wasn't the kind, like THC. So
right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, it wasn't something that we knew, to look for as a benefit, you know. That really wasn't something that I think has happened in our lifetime since the hemp loophole, as our current administration wants to describe it. But with the passage of the Farm Bill in 2019, then that opened up the opportunity for more modern alchemists to come out with these CBD and hemp varieties. And I think that we as a culture have found that there's a lot of people that benefit from that, that was otherwise lost to us from the prohibition of 1937. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was distracted. You know what I was thinking about?
What's that?
How proud I am of you, Saraquoia.
Oh, thank you, dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like, you're a powerful woman.
Hmm,
You really are. You're wow, for sure.
thanks, too.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and definitely don't deserve the hate that was sent your way. And
Yeah.
Not at
that's,
all.
that's why people that people that care about you, were like, fuck no. I'm not having this
Right.
shit.
Oh, no. I've gotten a lot of phone
Mhm.
calls from colleagues, from the other people that own grocery stores around Ohio, from other legitimate people that are not thugs, that want to be involved in industry that's growing and changing and want to be on the up and up, that have said, like, hey, we see this going on and we're concerned for you. And we just want to know why you made that post. And as soon as I say, dude, I didn't make that post, then they're like, oh, it's bullshit, because that's all it is. But I've been in politics for decades. One of the laws that I passed in our community was not weed related, but it was related to community rights, to our community's sovereignty, and to protect our nature. It was a rights of nature amendment, that I helped my old friend Dick McGinn and our crew of old guard environmental activists here in Athens pass in 2013. Um, and so, that's a whole other part of my community that I'm involved in, that I have respect of and I have respect from, right? And I have that because I am going to do my best every day to make sure that others know what their rights and responsibilities are if people rope me into stuff, because there's trust by association. And I didn't get all these years of being in this activist community and still being here by being a snake, right? So if petty people who are doing nothing but listening to the masses online decide that they think I'm a snake, that's their opinion, whatever. Because at the end of the day, I'm still here and I'm not going anywhere over, some petty lies. You're muted, dude.
I said, I'm sorry I brought it back to that, but I
Yeah.
was just thinking how proud I am of you. And that, like, it, you have to be you have to be brave and strong to do what you do every
Hmm.
day, you know?
Yeah.
Like anything,
I mean,
it's
Taco didn't pass itself, right? We had to go to joint task force meetings with our local police and the Ohio University police to try to implement that law. And that's where Sarah was saying earlier, like, we do kind of live in a little bubble here where we were the ones who got to interpret our law that we passed. And usually the law director is not so cooperative. But we had to go to those meetings because the OU police wanted to say, well, we're just going to charge people with crimes under the state law. we're not going to follow your ordinance, which is the law of your city. Well, not only is that disrespectful, but it's bullshit. Because if I litter on City Hall, which is state property, or I litter in the park, you're not going to charge me with, different crimes against the federal building, right? Because it's our town, right? Because everything in our town is going to get back to our courthouse, right? So we had to go and be willing to have conversations with other community members that don't think like us, right? And we had to do that with real integrity, right? And we had to do that with having our facts straight and knowing what the law is and what our goals are. Right? And our goals are to free the weed for all the people in need and to get to a point where we have equal access to not just herb, but employment and ownership in this industry.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And until then, the work's not done.
Yeah, because if we don't close like the farm to prison pipeline, then the most affected are Black, brown, and our young people, like the law about giving someone under 21, I mean, that terrifies me. I've got nieces and nephews that, are in them young 20s, and okay, their friends 2, 3 younger than 19, and then they share a little weed with them or something. It's like, so
yeah, now it's a felony.
Now it's a felony.
It is.
And
yeah,
it's
to
like,
share weed with
wow,
someone
man,
under
like,
21.
Wow, man,
Yeah.
So I mean, these are things that is like, being policy advocates, it's like, I'd rather us be educated. I'd rather us be led to places where we're educated so that we know, what you're doing, because, it's a lot better to be 12 steps ahead than to be 12 steps behind. And you can only do that when you have knowledge, when, and
That's right.
yeah. So
yeah, and people rely on me to know what's going on. They look up to me to do that. How many
absolutely.
phone calls I've fielded since the passage of Senate Bill
Oh yeah.
56, or while these
Oh yeah.
guys were running this campaign to repeal it,
Oh yeah.
on my own time,
Yeah.
out of nothing but love.
Yep.
Do I answer those calls? Right?
It gets overwhelming. That's why I had to take a sabbatical and go to Costa Rica for 4 months. Like, it's just like, doing
Man, was that
poverty
what I need to
gaps.
do? Like
I
what?
did 22
did.
years, man. I was like, dude, like I did like a damn near a life sentence, So like, and I did it of love, and I'm happy for every single thing, like, and I'll do it again in 10 lifetimes. So, but the reality is it's daunting. It's daunting to push this type of mechanism up a hill. You're totally an underdog. You got no money. I mean, you need like clipboards and pens and stuff and like print costs. And when you got no money and you think, oh, this is just like limitations, and this is why I deal with poverty gap solutions, and why like I'm really into disenfranchised communities, and I'm and the channeling to the prison pipeline, shout out to Racial Justice Now. So anyhow, like, these are things that like we have to know about the game they have us playing in, like I don't want to be a player, but the reality is that you're in a microsystem of your little town laws and your township laws, and then your county laws, and then your state laws, and then your federal laws. And so, I think the more that uh, just the safer you can be as a person. And then whatever choices that you want to make in your life that maybe pertain to just cannabis alone could be something that you navigate in a knowing space. And so education to me is extremely important. I am not, I'm a hypocrite to not be in the rec, like pro rec. I'm more like pro medicine, because I feel like we would quit having these conversations if we would just make it a medicine and institutionalize it as medicine, and then move forward from there in the agricultural department and just have it be considered just like any other herb that has healing and medicinal factors to it. So, but that's utopia. I mean, that's not a real thing, you know? So in that, I still
That's my
have to,
utopia.
I still have to navigate like going and figuring out 88 counties and what the fuck a barrel is. And like, I didn't even know what that was, you know? So it's like, oh, now I got to do that. And it comes with math. Like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
3%
people
of
don't
what, dude?
understand what all
Like,
goes into getting
like,
something passed. Yeah.
holy shit. You know what I mean? That eighth grade teacher
Hmm.
really had me, my brain spent right there. But we figured it out. You know what I mean? And we like broke the counties up and like, we worked on getting captains and then we worked on all this backlash and
Yep.
she's working for big pharma, I work for the cartel. I mean, it's just the craziest amounts of things that come around and people just say and do, and that I'm a hoe and I'm screwing everyone, and whatever it
Yep.
is. And it's just like, okay, but at the end of the day, are we legal though? At the
Right.
end of the day, can we smoke off our porch though? I mean, like, what up? You know what I mean? Like, you need me to talk lower? Are the words too bigger? Like, if we keep fracturing community, you know, of this medicine is not going to work for you. So if it's just about you making money on it, then game on. That's what capitalism is. This plant is more important than that. And so for me, it's like if we're talking about these two different modes, this greed to make green off of green, okay, do your thing. Like, may the best man win. That's how capitalism works. Cry if you will, if you lose all your money, you get robbed, all this stuff. We've all been through that. You know what I mean? Like, I've lost my money every single time. Every time I put it in the pot, I lost it to the cops, to something. You know what I mean? So it's just like, at the end of the day, it's like, dude, like if you want to play the game, but no, sometimes you're gonna lose, and you just gotta take your own merit. And then on the other side, like realize this is a sacred plant. This is medicine for people. Like speaking of lemon G, like I had stage 4 endometriosis that I eventually had to succumbed to a hysterectomy here in September, of which Q opened her home, took care of me during that time, fed me, sent people here to take care of me and feed me. I mean, it was just amazing experience here at Freedom East, her home. And uh it's like, dude, that medicine is amazing, like for just calming my
Yeah.
mind, calming my body, like that it's a feminine plant, it's grown by a woman, like like it's just like such a beautiful thing, because like in the industry I'm in, I'm dealing usually with like the dudes in the basement, you know what I mean, which is cool. I love every dude, all of you, I love y'all. Like, but like using basements is little, like, you know what I mean? How it is. So like being with this female and like just seeing this and how it's done, and her girlfriend showing up and helping me, because like this was like my first grow season ever. I've been in every
Yeah.
avenue of cannabis but that, because I'm always out and about. I'm y'all's logistics and
Yeah.
marketing,
Yeah.
And
Sierra's been
so
more on the like philanthropy and
and
organizing side of everything,
yeah,
not so much around
so
all of us legacy gardeners,
yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I was off of their like poison pills in what, 4 days? Let's not hope my doctor ain't
yeah.
seeing this, but it's like
Yeah,
4 days,
no.
and I was just like straight. She made me coconut uh lemon G butter,
Butter.
and
Hmm.
we was dosing high, and I was sleeping a lot, but sleep is the best medicine,
That's how you keep them down.
Yeah.
Have
I
some
have,
more toast.
I have a question for the audience.
Yeah.
So it's been brought up in the past that there's like too much testosterone in the podcast. Okay. And I'm just wondering, like, would you guys think this show is better without me or not so? Like that.
Oh,
Oh, wait, hold on.
No.
I'm not asking you, ladies. I
Okay.
already hope I know that you want us to be on the show. We've talked about this before, but I want to poll the audience. Like, do you guys think that it's cool that we're doing it, or do you think that we're holding back Sierra and Q from telling some better stories? Like if I wasn't here, I like to think
Mm,
that. you know, that I might contribute a little something, and I enjoy it personally. But I figured at this time I should just ask because now what happened was the first show that we did with Q, it was me and like 4 or 5 males,
Hmm.
and so now we had a little bit of an imbalance there. And then on top of everything, it was the show that Bobby died,
Hmm.
and I had so much that I wanted to say that show. I had like
Yeah.
so many feelings that I wanted to get out, and then um, but so then um, after the show with Reba, we brought her Grateful Cultivator on as a podcast, and I felt we've had more balance, and but I just wanted to find out, have the
Yeah.
so. And by the way, if you say you hate me, I still might not
Mhm.
go anywhere. Okay,
Mhm.
but I just wanted to ask you guys what you guys think.
Well, I think it's been a cool platform for like just getting out some of the history of women in cannabis because I think that we're less likely to get chosen sometimes. So I appreciated it very much so. Now, next month I'm going to be in Thailand for 420 with Captain and Dank in Bangkok, and so I'm hoping that we can get some on the ground filmage of some of the Thai um, activity and how cannabis is going for them as far as their freedoms and their liberties, because that's all pretty new there. But we know some people there that are going to be doing some stuff for 420, so we'll be checking in from there. It's going to be pretty sweet. So, and then I think probably first week of May is when we're going to have Notso's good friend come on the show. So I look forward to that too, because she's got some stories or he's got some stories maybe to share that'll be fun from that. You know,
Well,
back in the day, like we wouldn't always like a lot of people that I knew that were growing would like not necessarily be growing where they were living. They might be growing with somebody else somewhere else. So we would have to transport everything around. We'd have to go back and maybe we'd bring new babies in when we cut the old ones down, and maybe they weren't even being vegged there. They might be in another house somewhere else. So that led to a lot of, risk taking as far as, having to be on the road with plants or, be in these rental properties that you weren't really sure what was going to go on with, and there could be like extreme situations sometimes. Like one time I had this friend that was renting this place, and a lot of the times people would hardwire an old hot water heater timer. You ever know anybody that did that, Gabby? Right?
we all
So,
did.
because you had like 8,000 watts, right?
It
But you
was
don't
kind
want to
of
be doing
stuff.
that on the 110, right? Because you're going to melt a bunch of shit and all your stuff's going to blow. So, you would get all of your HID lighting onto one board with a hot water heater timer. And then if you had a good friend, you would hardwire that shit into a like 30 amp breaker, right? And then you were good because it was 220 or 210 instead or 220 instead of 110.
Right.
So my friend was in that situation where they had all their lights hardwired to this like box. And then all of a sudden there's a fucking water pipe breaks at their house, right? So the water starts like gushing around everywhere, and they call me. They're like, "Oh, I got to figure this out." So they shut the water off, right? I'm like, "Shut the water off," right? So unbeknownst to them, until that day, when they shut the main water off at that cabin, it shut the water off to like the next 6 cabins that the dude owned on the same property. So we're like, fuck. So now the neighbor's knocking on the door. The landlord's calling. We got to fix this pipe. Nobody has any water, right? And we're like, oh, fuck. And this fucking thing is hardwired in the basement, right? So, and I can't unwire it. I'm going to get shocked. Actually, one of us had like kind of got shocked already, so we had to call in another trusty friend and then like sneak them into this house in the middle of the day, right? Because we're trying to act like we're not home, you know. She's like not home, otherwise like they would be able to come in there and try to shut the water off. So we had to like sneak this dude in and get him to like undo all the wires, right? While they're trying to like roll up and bag up plants and all that, get him into this truck that's in this garage, you know, and then like leave everything in there, and then like finally open the door for the landlord. Oh, I don't know what's going on, you know. And those were like that's like one of those times when you could almost like feel the breath of the lion, you know, about to eat your ass, right? Right? And you were about to like lose your all of it, right? Over a fucking water leak in a house you don't own, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Did
wow.
you ever watch that video that Notso Dog was talking about down the toilet that I made?
I did watch the video where you were talking about it.
For those of you who have not watched it, look on my channel for the video labeled down the
It's a wild story. Yeah,
I'm
that
not
was
going to
that
say
same
anything
kind of
more than
moment.
that. We'll
Yeah.
leave it at that. I don't want to go on a tangent. Trying to not tangent anymore for the last little bit of this show.
Yeah.
You have any stories you want to tell, Ciara?
Oh.
Some of them road dogs.
How about this? Q, you want to tell any stories about Ciara?
Huh. I don't
Make
know
sure
if I'm
they're
authorized
safe
to
for
tell
TV.
stories.
Well, I said
Usually if I'm telling stories, it's like non-specific, you know, like I knew
Okay, so I
somebody
really
was
like the
killed.
one at the State House with Mr. Browning.
Oh, when we
That's a really
were
great
petitioning
one.
in 2016 during the Hillary
Yeah.
Clinton campaign. Yeah, that's a great story. If I ever go into comedy, like stand-up comedy, that one's one for the books, right?
It's great. Okay, you have to tell it.
So what we were collecting signatures for the original grassroots petition, right? Which was an initiative petition for a constitutional amendment, right? So this is rights-based. It's 2016, right? Hillary Clinton's running against Trump. They're having a Hillary Clinton rally in Columbus, right? So me and Ciara and this other dude who's like a prison guard from down here, right? But he's trying to like legalize weed. I don't know. He was in our group, right? And we're like trying to just whoever wants to come and get signatures, right? So we roll up to Columbus and we get out. We walk of all the times to lose my ear pod. So we walk across. Can you guys hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we get to the campus and Ohio State campus. There's like 5 roads that come together in the middle of campus around like this tree area. And on one side of the 2 roads, they had sectioned off this part where Hillary Clinton's rally was, right? And then we decided we wanted to get like real close to where people were going in, right? So that we could get all of the petition signed that, you know. So we get up there and there's these guys over near the entrance and they've got these like Trump flags, these Trump banners, right? And they're all like Trump, 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 you know? And I was like, Ciara, you should go talk to those guys, right? She did eventually get all of their signatures under the grounds. She did. She was like, but you're about liberty, right? You're about people's right to vote on stuff, right? So you should sign this and then you can vote on it because that's democracy, right? So she talked them all into signing it. But they're over there and they're like, Trump, Trump, Trump. And then there were all these people with these giant fetuses on signs and they were like the anti-abortion people, remember them?
Yes.
And they had a microphone and every now and again the guy would be like, Hillary Clinton kills babies. Right? So you had the Trump guys, they're like Trump, Trump, Trump. And I've got my campaign stuff. I'm like, hey, do you want to legalize weed? Trump, Trump, Trump. You want to legalize weed? Hillary Clinton kills babies. Right? So I'm like, fuck. And then there were all of these foreign kids, right, who were trying to get into the Hillary Clinton rally.
Hey,
and they were like, what?
Let me just say something funny that I just thought of.
Okay.
Like, you could have said, yeah, I agree. Hillary Clinton kills babies. Let's just you know, but we got to deal with this
Oh,
weed
you
thing.
can't talk to those guys, dude. If you
Oh,
try to
no,
get
no.
near the one with the or with the megaphone, they're like ants. They like come all around you and they like keep you from having dialogue with the dude with the megaphone. You know,
She's
but
a
they
war
were,
criminal.
yeah,
Like I have, you know, like all politicians are fucked up. You know, that's
yeah, right.
that's
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
classic.
these were just
You know,
like
It was
like
all these
just the,
different
hey,
groups
like
protesting.
we can
yeah.
agree that. How about we just both agree that they suck, but I still want you to sign my weed petition.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where we were
yeah.
at. We want to legalize weed, you know. But then the foreign students had to sign a form that people had on clipboards, right? And these guys
Mhm.
spoke almost no English, right? So they would roll over and they would be like, I'm like, you want to legalize weed? And they're like, try to get ticket, you know, and then they would try to find the other guy with the clipboard, right? So then there were these hippies that had like
You know what you should
drums
have
and
done?
shit.
You should have said, "Look, if you sign my petition, if I see a ticket, I'll let you know. All
Well,
you
so
gotta
the
do is sign the
problem
petition."
is
Yeah,
foreign
yeah.
exchange students are not registered to
Oh,
vote in the county. So it sucks for them to sign the petition because
that
then you
hurts.
got to mark their name out and the state
Yeah.
doesn't like that. The state wants it to be clean, right? So I'm
Mhm.
not trying to
Mhm.
get their signatures, right? But they would interrupt us because we're like, fuck, there's all these people here and they're doing all this stuff. You know, it's like Trump, 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 Hillary Clinton kills babies. You want to legalize weed? No, try to get in the event. And then the hippies show up with their fucking drums and they're like, kumbaya, my love,
Boom,
kumbaya,
boom,
Trump, Trump,
boom.
Trump, Trump. You try to
Hillary
legalize
kills
weed, you gotta let
babies.
it get in the vote. Hillary Clinton kills babies. Trump, Trump, Trump. You know, so it was like kind of this wild experience where we didn't get as many signatures as we thought we were
It
going
was
to,
too
but the
overstimulated.
story was fucking awesome. You know?
Yeah. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I love street teaming. Like, you know, growing up, like, you know, as a good little Christian girl, I did a lot of evangelical, unapologetic things. So, you know, working in cannabis legalization and education has been really easy for me because it's like no matter what you have to say, I have a counter to that, you know? Um, and so, like, talking to people, strangers, like on the street is like, super easy thing to do, but that day it was like so
I was
overwhelming.
amazed.
It was so overwhelming. I couldn't even like focus and like, yeah.
Yeah, there was
So
so much going on, dude. Between the other people with the clipboards that were like not at all trying to get signatures for weed, you know, then
mm-hmm.
the all the like loud Trump supporters and the people with the megaphone and all the hippies with their bonga, Hillary Clinton kills babies, Trump, you know, it was
Yeah.
wild that we got any signatures at all, honestly.
Yeah.
But Ciara did get like all those Trump supporters to sign her petition, you know. And I definitely got all the hippies to sign mine, you know. But the other guy that we took with us, he hadn't really had any petitioning experience at all. And he was totally overwhelmed, you know, because he was trying to he's a pretty big guy, you know. Usually he can like get people's attention, but it was just
Well,
ridiculous.
I think
But it was
something
good
too.
training, you know.
Yeah, like I think something too that like I kind of found a little niche for is like working in communities. So like, you know, kind of like talking to the police and being like, dude, how far is your line? You know, like how do you perceive the law? Like, you know, when I
Mm-hmm.
did my expo in Dayton, Ohio, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
I made sure to call the cops and I made sure to ask them like, hey, like what do you perceive the law to be right now?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that really helps me out before I set a date, you know, and before I have, you know, what I considered people I need to protect, which is predominantly Black and, you know, POCs, and, you know, people that are small business owners that have, you know, risks and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. And so those are the people who are going to be the demographics at an event that I would throw. So I need to make sure that if I'm going to do that, that I'm protecting my people while they're there enjoying this what is perceived as a safe legal place to be. So
Mm-hmm.
you know, so I was very active with not only my own county but the counties around me in Ohio with speaking to the sheriff's department, with speaking to, you know, the sheriff's the ones that have to
Yep.
arrest you, you know.
Yep.
And like the cops can say they want to arrest you, but like the sheriff got to put you in the jailhouse, you know. So you know, but like sheriff, his name is Anger for real, which is crazy. But anyhow, like that's unfortunate, but so funny
Sheriff.
for a child's book. And anyhow, like, you know, he didn't want to do that. So, you know, it's kind of like, okay, cool. Well, what is your limit? Like, what do you perceive the law to be? Like, what are you going out doing in creating criminals for? Like, what are you targeting? You know? And people were like, don't do that, don't get involved like that. But it behooves me more as like, you know, a childless, like, you know, like educated person to kind of be more in the know. And I don't have much risk, you know.
Right.
Like I'm gonna get
Right.
OR'd out in the morning. I'm a white female. There's so many privileges that I have to navigate that I don't why would I waste that time? Instead, I would like come and be like, hey, where are we in it as a community right now? You know, and that's where the education comes into play. And that's what like mostly I'm about, like, is about the educational side, you know, destigmatizing the gateway, the, you know, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
my beautiful melanated, you know, demographics in the education is, you know, there was been this precedent that pot caused crack, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not that, you know, the CIA caused crack, and we know that now, you know, it's documented. There's released files, like we don't have to pretend that that's not the truth anymore, you know, that is the truth. And so, you know, so like these types of things, I feel like, you know, we need to get back to it being a sacred plant. We need to back to that. We're lucky to even know each other because we get to talk about this plant. I know that there's many, many miracles. There's many, many success stories, as well as there is trifling, you know, hood shit that goes down in this life, you know? And but at the end of the day, it's like it's more the balance on the positive side that this, again, this is a sacred plant. This is a plant that is medicine. This is a plant that needs to be talked about like on a broad spectrum and institutionalized in our country so that we can have access to it as any indigenous plant that we have current access to, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that about all plants. And, you know,
Yep. Me too.
I wish we could like get off of cannabis so that we can like start with other things too,
Yeah.
including fungi and
Legalize
all
all
that other stuff.
nature.
It's like, whoa,
Legalize
dude.
nature. Yeah.
I've been doing this since I'm 18. I'm 43 now. Like, you know, let's come on with the come on. So when someone says we need more time in another generation, I'm like, dude, we got AI. Like, what y'all can't understand in 30 seconds. I mean, it's 30 seconds. We can break this down quick. What level of education you wanted in? Second grade, fifth grade, college? You know, you tell me, but in 30 seconds, we can break it down real quick, you know? So I don't know. I appreciate that you guys have me on here. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm a simpleton when things come to this way, just because there's just sort of like, you know, a premise of like what is and what it is not, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that cannabis is a sacred plant, not a means to make someone's next car payment, and at minimum. And so you know, like and you know, snitches are people that, you know, benefit and profit and know what you're doing. Other than that, if you go around calling people it when you're posting public crimes, then
You're
you a
snitching on
dumb criminal.
yourself.
Then
Yeah.
you a dumb
Yeah.
criminal, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There's a new term for that. That kids nowadays they say dry snitching.
oh, dry
Right? Like,
snitch.
yeah, you dry
Hmm.
snitched on your own self when you're out there crying about crimes that you're committing, you know, or like
Hmm.
having your face and your, you know, your business have a brand that's actually illegitimate in a place where it's illegitimate, and then putting it out there like a real thing. Like the people that jump through all those hoops aren't going to care, you know?
Yeah.
So that's another
Yeah.
form of dry snitching, is like giving yourself your own public record for others to access, you know, because
Yeah.
to me, that, like you said, the definition is dumb criminal, you know. So,
But
but
business is
they like
business.
to
And
call it dry snitching
if we
nowadays.
haven't learned from Trump economics by now, is businesses have no entity, they're not responsible for anything. So why are you making this personal? It's business. you know, and if you want to
Yeah,
go
you can't
into a
rope my
legal
business into your
business,
shit. Yeah.
yeah, then
Hmm.
that's on you. So, you know,
Yeah.
like stupid is or whatever it does, I
Mm.
guess. I'm not sure. But
What
I
it
so
doesn't do is undo the legacy of the lemon G, which comes from my community,
yes.
my crew, and anybody that wants to ask questions about it can bring them on because I
Hmm.
got all the answers and I'm willing to share them with you.
So
Hmm.
who was the woman from the Death Star crew that you wanted to have on?
So yeah, Maggie, I tried to send her that
I
message
mean,
to
it's
with the link,
we've
but
been
I
on for
think
like 3
yeah, it's
hours.
4:30 now. I think we'll probably call it a day and get Maggie on here. But
Hmm.
she's a girl that was out there with all of us when we were all out there in the late 90s, or really the early 2000s for Maggie. I didn't meet her until maybe 2003 or 4. But they were, you know, people that were taking those risks to get the medicine to the people, and knew some of the guys that had the Cincy Star variety back in the day, and had that sour diesel. And they came up with the Death Star. And she was there taking care of those plants at that time, you know, before the Team Death Star crew moved to out west where some of them are, you know, and there's others of them that are still in Columbus. But she's a woman of weed. She's got a story to tell, and I'd like to be able to. She's also an Ohio woman of weed, right? So she's someone that fits into the like, what's up, Ohio? Where have we come from and where are we going? Because we got to stay in contact here
Hmm.
with the way that our landscape is changing right now. Um, you
Hmm.
know, because they didn't change these laws for no reason. You know,
Well, especially if the
legitimate
dudes.
businesses didn't shut down for no reason, right?
Hmm. Absolutely, especially like us women kind of have to unite. And also, thank you, Gabby, for allowing us to have a space
Yeah,
to do
for
that
sure.
No
Thank you a
worries.
whole
because
lot.
we have to heal them in our group. Like there's just like so much toxicity. Like I've thrown the olive branch out many times. They ain't got no love, you know. And so, you know, as a collective, like sending love and like, you know, to their little teeny little green little Grinch hearts might be really great, you know, and just like wishing them well and, you know, knowing that, you know, like sometimes like things happen and like people are going to stand up for themselves, whether or not you think they should.
Yeah.
And, you
Like,
know,
and being
sometimes
loud don't make what you're saying true,
like a
right?
good
That's a good
man
thing.
provides a
Yeah.
platform for us to do that. And I appreciate you, Gabby, for being a good man to do that and to have this, you know, record set or
Yeah. Like
wiped
being willing to take
away.
on uncomfortable conversations, you know, because
Mhm.
everybody has struggles, and this is not just all like, you know, a ganja butter afternoon, you know, it's real
Mhm.
struggles within our community, and we all should strive to do better.
Like I
Mhm.
said, and like you said as well, it was pretty so clear cut that it didn't take
Hmm.
much time or consideration.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, and
Mhm.
I wasn't even like giving it any consideration at all till
Right.
somebody says something about it, and I'm like, what? I was like,
Well, I mean, and this individual
brain.
has more bad press than good, right? I've got like, you know, go Google me, dude. I've got years and years of
Mhm.
fucking successes for the good of all of us. That's what you
Mhm.
find.
Well, you know, it's so somebody else that I was talking to was doing something with somebody that is accused of being a snitch. Okay. And I'm just
Hmm.
gonna like leave the identification stuff down beyond that. And I said to him, I'm like, bro, you know, you're putting yourself at risk here because like this person is getting a lot of heat right now. And, you know, you can be not guilty by association, but like people will just start giving you shit, you know. And what he said to me, he's like, well, he's my bro, and I know this is all bullshit, and so I'm gonna have his back. you know, and I was like, that's pretty awesome, you know. And he also said that, um, you know, in his position, he didn't have to worry about it,
Yeah.
you know, like he wasn't going to lose his, wasn't going to affect him. He was in a spot where he could like be like, hey, I'm going to support my friend,
Hmm.
you know,
But
and
what right is right too, you know what I mean? And when you
Hmm.
watch your friend get physically assaulted and then, you know, and then perpetuate like domino effect of like unprotected males inside of her, like, you know, multi-decade community, uh, is wild, you know? And
I
I
mean,
watched it
Hmm.
he
happen
did.
very slow because I was recovering from a surgery. So, you know, it was like there wasn't any
Yeah.
thing that was done in hastiness. You know, there was lots of olive branches sent. There was lots of like, what is going on? Like, why
Hmm.
do I need to prove myself in this manner? You know, and I'm like, you don't need to. Like, there's something toxic. There's something sick in the fold, and like, you know, like just pull out, and like, you know,
Yeah.
like it'll restore itself, or you will in a different place. You know, but
Yeah.
like right now that's like so much pressure coming from people that like you've only like loved and put nurturing into, and like, you know, like when she ate they ate, you know, like
Hmm.
every time the same meal. Like she didn't give
Hmm.
you chicken tenders while she's eating steak unless you don't eat beef or something, you know. But like like,
Yeah.
so it's
For
like,
sure.
yeah, so like that's kind of like some oddball behavior, and I also like trusted in these people too. So,
Yeah.
you know, like seeing that and being like, oh, well, I can't like be a part of these things because
Yeah.
one, I'm like a literal wounded female in the moment, and you're allowing men to put physical hands and
Yeah.
make it
No.
okay. And then character assassinations and
Hmm.
stalking, like calling her parents, calling her child.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, crazy amounts of things that were just super uncalled for. And then, you know, constant, I don't know, like nitpicking, like the post to her business, you know, is like a
Yeah.
nitpick. And it's just like,
Yeah. Or the women
we tough.
G13.
Like,
You
you know,
know.
we tough. Like I can ignore a lot of battles, but the one I don't, you better have packed a lunch. You know what I mean? Like, so basically, like, that's what's up. Is like, dude, like, you know, all it's ever been was about love and community, and then you on some weirdo shit because you made it about money and you forgot the
Yeah.
sacredness of family
Ego.
and community and all this other
Hmm.
stuff because you won a couple cannabis cups from some dude that just ended all of that business.
Hmm.
Make that make sense. You know what I mean? Like, so at the end of the day, I wish everybody well, you know, no disrespect unless, you know, it helps you change. And yeah, so I love you, Q.
Thanks, lady. I
And thank you,
appreciate you.
Gabby.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you for this safe spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ciara, don't log off though when we all log off because
All right.
otherwise
Okay.
it won't upload correctly. Just so
Got
you
it.
know.
Got it.
We
Yeah. So
ready to
just
say
stay in
goodbye?
there. Yep, we're
Hmm.
ready.